Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
What's up, everybody? Running a little late because two of my guests still have not showed up. So we decided to go ahead and BS a little bit beforehand. We were talking about the latest episode of Marvel What If, and it's a fucking shocker because it was really fucking good, which surprised me. And one thing I was pointing out to the boys is that it shows a big flaw that we're seeing out of Disney and Marvel, that they can't do any kind of complex storytelling with female or minority characters. Finally, Culture Casino is here.
There goes Culture.
I got no notification on Twitter that the link had even arrived.
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack. But we're kind of waiting for LDG to show up, and we're just killing some time talking about what's going on with Marvel What If episode 4, which was a fantastic episode. It was about Doctor Strange, and it was what if Doctor Strange lost his heart rather than his hands, and it ends in fucking disaster, and is a really well done and executed what if story. And like I said, it shows you that they cannot do any kind of complex storytelling to the level of what they did with Doctor Strange with their minority female characters, because you know why? They're afraid of being called racist and misogynist.
Yeah, no, it does. And once again, I mentioned earlier, like, I actually felt like the episode, I actually felt it. Like, I'm like, wow, I actually felt it, like, between the darkness and, like, once again, you see what happens when a character gets super drunk on power, and you actually feel the consequences.
It's basically somebody who succumbs to despair. And yes, Commander Ed Straker of Shadow, it was not.
It was not. I can't believe I'm saying that. Trust me, I'm still in shock that I'm not. I'm like, I was ready to like.
Oh yeah, it wasn't woke whatsoever. They actually told a story this time, which I was like shocked. So
it was, like I said, it was fantastic. It's probably the best story that I think has come out of Disney Plus so far.
Yes, I agree.
Let me ask a question, because this may or may not be pertinent, but I think it is. Did they only change one thing?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was actually one event.
All right.
Speaking of LDG,
lately LDG,
we're killing some time talking about what happened with Marvel What If episode 4, which I thought was fantastic.
Did it really?
Yeah,
it's a good one. All right, cool. I can't wait to watch it. I'm waiting until Sunday.
Dude,
it's
really good. It is really good.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
Yeah.
Don't if you like afterwards, you might need a palate cleanser. So just warning you, because it's super.
That's how deep it is. That's how deep it is.
Yeah.
I won't be on Anzo, but I'll give out my score early so you guys can forward to Anzo. I'm either at B+ or A- with it. Seriously, it was fantastic.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah,
I stand by that.
It is actually a well-crafted story. It is like everything I've ever complained about with any kind of thing, any episode coming off of Disney Plus. Basically, I wouldn't say they've corrected, but they basically had a really good episode.
Yes,
and it was phenomenal.
Standalone.
Standalone, yeah, absolutely standalone.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, there wasn't like a bunch of chain of events that led up to it. It was actually it was just straight up a fucking story that was good, and I was very, very surprised by that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Get some super chats out of the way here. Darius Munchausen for 149 with a box of popcorn, and we also have Mr. Grant Gregory for $2 Australian. That What If ep was as dark as comics is short. Very. And we're be talking about your home country tonight, as you probably saw in the title. What the fuck is going on in Australia, man? It's kind of
God,
nuts.
Dude, that's scaring the hell out of me.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing I feel like what we're witnessing in real time is legitimately the collapse of Western democracy right before our eyes, and we're seeing it not just in Australia. We're seeing it in other countries as well. We're seeing shit going on in Scotland where they want to go and keep their emergency powers that they haven't enacted through COOF season. But Australia certainly takes the cake because they are doing a lot of really, really crazy shit. And the first thing I want to do is I want to open it up with this one video clip that I saw on Twitter. God, I need to find it. That Zuby tweeted out today, and it's just
spot on,
fucking insane. Yeah, it's spot on, and it's frightening, is what it is. It's absolutely fucking frightening. All right, so let me get it over on my other screen here, and
just for the record, real quick, you know, a lot of people used to make fun of this, but it's amazing how this might actually be the future now. So people don't have their faces recorded 24/7.
Yeah. There's a lot of fucking madness that's going on, but let's start with this one
there
here.
is.
A radical plan to crack down on social media abuse is being considered by the federal government. For more, Nine's Oliver Haig joins us live in Adelaide. Ollie, how will it work?
Lila, good morning. Essentially, it will work the same as a passport. Australians forced to submit 100 points of identification like their driver's license or passport when using social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter. Now,
yeah, social media, folks. If you live in Australia, you're going to have to submit, as you stated, 100 points of identification to use social media.
It is straight out of China right there, kids. Welcome. So literally, they were worried about this in Australia. Lots of citizens and government officials were talking about it. And they went and they circumvented everybody, and they are adopting it. So I, you know what? The online abuse is being conducted by the government at this point.
Yeah. So let's continue to see what's going on here.
Police would have access to those social media accounts, and it's all part of a crackdown on online abuse. Now, users could be liable for defamation suits or even criminal prosecution, and it's all part of a plan hoping to deter people from engaging in bad behavior. Now, the recommendations were
bad behavior.
It's going to deter
criminal
people.
behavior. Bad behavior. Yeah, that is.
Who's going to want to use this now?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like I was wondering
sadly,
myself.
a lot might.
I know that I have several people from Australia. I know, like Tilliam is here. He's in Australia, and he says that you know, a lot of people don't want this crap. Yeah, you're right, dude. I know a lot of people don't want this crap. It's fucking disgusting, and it's an abuse of government power.
Yep.
And you know, the people of Australia need to rise up against this because this is insane. I mean,
They do.
Need to.
You know, what I think, comics, and I'm obviously I can't prove it because I'm not deep in the lore of Australian politics, but what I think is the majority of people in Australia hopefully don't want this, but the problem is the people who do they're all in the power, so that they're not going to make reasonable decisions. They're just going to do what benefits the state, and the state is in power. And that's what's scary.
What sucks about it is, you know, I have friends and coworkers that live in Australia, and you know, they're going to be affected by this nonsense. And it's disgusting.
What I'm hearing, I don't know if you know TG content. From my understanding, yeah, he's from Australia. The people who want to do something about this could be in jail tomorrow, literally, for watching this stream. That's how bad it is. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was like, you're kidding me, right? He's like, no, not even kidding. Like, matter of fact, he stopped doing certain live streams on his YouTube channel because they can be considered going against the Australian
I mean, they're
government.
basically laying it out here in this video. I mean, it's and YouTube is social media. And you can't be anonymous because, which is ridiculous because, I mean, that's like
should be
part of the barriers of preventing people from getting canceled is being anonymous.
Anonymous.
And, you know, now the government's taking that away, and they're literally making it easier for people to be canceled by the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, think about this. What is this going to do to the full Aussie with Lethal and Rhino and Lyndon, man? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
worry
also
for
gonna
those
give
guys
rise
now. You know,
to that sections of society, because it's not just the government, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Australia,
your neighbor can tattle down on you.
Yeah.
Australia.
We'll cover some of the more insane shit that's going on, like where you get a text from the police and you have to take a photo of yourself to prove that you're home, which is insane. Mr. Grant Gregory says, if you would like an Australian perspective, add me. Dude, DM me on Twitter. I'll send you the link. I'd love to hear your perspective on all this. So we'll continue on.
Were handed down by a federal parliamentary inquiry. They're reforms that are being considered by the Morrison government, with the chairman saying there is merit to remove the veil of being anonymous. Layla?
And these people on the news, they're all complicit with it too, because they're all supporting it. They're just acting like it's just a normal thing to accept.
They want more power, dude. It's power. This is the thing, man. You surrendered. First of all, Australia, I'm sorry, you surrendered your guns. You know, so you surrendered your last opportunity to defend yourself from the government.
I wouldn't say that they did it. Their government did, because there were people that did protest that did not want that to happen. There was lots of people that spoke out in the 90s when that happened, but it's a mess. But yeah, you're right, dude. It's like Luke Rakowski said it best. What can the government do when they disarm the population? Anything they want. Yeah. And you're basically seeing this right
here
now.
We are. And I remember, it's funny, I had to bring him up. I remember when I was starting to realize how crazy Dan Slott was, he was promoting Australia as a symbol of a country to, be a model of. And now here we are. I would love to see where his response is now.
Probably we can't see it because he's blocked all of us.
I'm sure he's fine with it.
Oh, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
You guys write superheroes. That's the part that's the irony of it all.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, like I said, I have friends and coworkers there that are not happy about this, but yeah, I think at this point it's like people need to start protesting, and they obviously need to start voting people out that are enacting this shit.
I agree with you, Comics.
So while we're waiting for our other guest, Stuart Graham, for $5 Australian dollars. I'm on the West Coast in Perth, and we are completely open with no restrictions, but we can't leave the state or country without government approval, which is pretty messed up. Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Looks pretty pissed.
Going good, guys. How's everyone?
Doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Can you see me all right?
Yeah, we can see you just fine.
We see you, dude.
Sorry, just put my Bluetooth headset in. So, it's pretty. To call it average would be an understatement.
Yeah,
we go from a country that's known for everything being, lovable, arrogant, and free and whatnot, to having us essentially be forced to stay indoors for 15 weeks straight without even having a case in the area.
15 weeks straight. Oh my!
I don't remember where one of my coworkers is at, but I know that he's been in lockdown and he's definitely been getting, pretty antsy with it, because he's like I can't leave more than a mile from my house, and it's like that's insane. And he's like, maybe in a couple of weeks we can go out 6 miles.
Yeah, well,
it's like
same.
Yeah, that is crazy, dude. So, what are your thoughts on
all
this?
of our social points and get everything ready?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I don't. It comes across as a joke. But the irony of it, we're going to be the testing ground for Westernized culture to see if this thing will actually work. And I think that's the problem, because people will do what they need to do purely and simply just to comply. And I think that's where it's gonna end up. And you can already go to jail for standing out in the street without a mask on. You can go to jail for staying in your house and sending a mean tweet. Like I don't know what's happening, man. It's to say it's heartbreaking, disappointing is an understatement.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. We also have Yellow Flash out in the chat. What's
Yellow
up, dude?
Flash. I love your
How's it going,
channel.
I was watching one of his videos today. I really like Yellow Flash's content. It's pretty good, man.
How can you not? Racism.
Yeah. I'm not able to catch every video, but his videos are good. So one thing that let's see, two zone or fuck, I can't say words. For $5, a VPN can a VPN hide you from this? I don't know, dude, because
yes and no.
What they're doing is they are sending a text message to you. You have to respond back with a photo of where you're at, and they're using geolocation to basically figure out where you're at. So it's it's pretty fucked up, man. And let me get
there's ways around a VPN. They already Mac already found a way around it.
Yeah.
So if you got that new Big Sur update, doesn't matter if you have a VPN, it goes around it.
That's so messed up, dude.
Yep.
So Yellow Flash Yellow Flash 2 for $20. Hey, buddy. Hey, yourself. But yeah, dude, this shit is absolutely frightening. I think you're right that it is basically a test bed. Really, what I think is what's been the test has been the whole mask mandates, right? Like, if people just go and comply, and you don't have to do much, it's all you got to do is twist a few knobs, and you can install authoritarianism very easily. And we're seeing this play out obviously in real time in Australia, and we're seeing it also in Scotland, which is
it's easier to step up steep steps. You start with a ramp. So the mask gave them a ramp because they have a reason. They're calling it safety, right?
Yep.
It wasn't like they forced us to do something. It was behind this whole wear a mask, be safe, save lives. And that was the launching point.
Just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. They
say
they
always start off with something that sounds reasonable. It's like
reasonable.
Even like the things we talked about with entertainment. It's like we're just trying to level the playing field. Leveling the playing field is fine. We're trying to make it diversity is good. Okay, yeah, diversity is good. Now they start pushing a little harder on things, and it's suddenly it's just like, what's the matter? Racism is bad. Don't you agree with that? Well, of course I agree with racism is bad. Well, you can't just be against racism. You got to be anti-racist.
It's all about the conditioning.
Yeah,
at that point, they're expecting it's all about conditioning, and it's working. Sadly, on a lot of people. That's the scary part is how much it's working.
It's like the whole thing with race swapping. Oh well, we're just changing it out with a different character. No, you're fucking race swapping. No, it's a new character. It's fine. We're not changing the race of the original character. It's like it's still race swapping, dude. And it's like the people that get angry when Gary posted that picture of the white Black Panther, and it's like, hey, well, it's not the same thing. That's actually tied to his race. And it's like,
white people in there are white people who are African American too and live in Africa.
Yeah, I know like 2 people that are from there that were born there that are African. From there, and they were like, well, they're white.
I stopped this one guy. I said, what if they race swapped Bucky Barnes as Black Panther because he has ties to Wakanda, and he's a new character. He's a different character. He's not a race swap T'Challa, and he just didn't respond.
Of course he did.
Anyway, that's beside the point. Like I said, it's the gradual chipping away the stone, whether it be entertainment or our rights, and that's the thing that's so fucking scary about all this shit.
B. Baker was right. He said Alex Jones was right. He predicted all of this.
Yeah. It's a weird world when Alex Jones becomes reality. Right?
I know, right? Alex Jones was the same person in the room all these years.
Yeah. This is the thing I find really interesting, and this is coming from the Atlantic, okay? Ultra progressive Atlantic is like, okay, maybe there's a problem now.
Yeah. Oh, what? Now you guys are having a problem.
It's like you fuckers helped enable this shit, okay? Yep. And now you're like, whoa, maybe we crossed the line. Yeah. Australia trade away too much liberty. How can a democracy maintain emergency restrictions and still call itself a free country? Well, the answer is you can't do it.
No.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I feel for the people of Australia. Sadly, I don't think it's going to stop there.
Oh no.
Well,
and you know what the messed up thing is? Babylon B is having a hard time at coming up with stuff like Dark Admiral said, because a lot of the stuff they've been saying has been coming true.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you know.
No, I hear you.
I've heard
And
that
Babylon
B is kind of afraid to do some stuff now because they're like, it's gonna come true. Like,
I think that just shows you the state of just where we are in clown world. That it's just they're making shit up, and then for whatever reason, it's actually in some form or fashion kind of happening.
Yeah, and it's just
well. I look in a world where, and you know what, Toxic Man Flu reiterated this point today, where a handful of companies control all of the media.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where I joke about the cyberpunk dystopian future. I mean, seriously, we're living in it. Okay.
Yeah,
we just don't have cyberware yet. Right now, I mean, corporations literally have more power than the government at this point. Which is
especially when the corporations and all that can, like what happened with Trump, where a company can decide that the president can no longer speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can do it there, I mean, we've got in Australia, we have no amendments, no protection of rights when it comes. We don't even have a freedom of speech. We have a Protections Act, but anyone who's in power can rewrite that at any time.
Yeah, and that's a problem, and that's where. We can't allow for our rights to be trampled upon here in this country. We need to be the bastion of freedom so that we can hopefully reinstill that in the Western nations of the world.
Yeah.
It's going to take some people standing up to some of this stuff, and it's going to take, our voices, here across, whatever platforms we're allowed to be on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to be more than a little bit serious. We should be in emergency mode right now as far as protecting the very freedoms that we were founded upon.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's so frightening is that we are a hair's breadth away, worldwide, having global authoritarianism and it's stuff that they're actually legit trying to push when we talk about like stuff like the Great Reset. I mean, it's all this shit is
dangerously close.
Eric K. 42 American pesos. End of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
It's just sad to see that Australia thinks that the answer is in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, and I'm advocate for this on my channel. I believe the answer is not only making people more free, but giving people the power to be free, which is a completely different thing in my book. And this direction that Australia is going, it is a scary thought. I mean, now they're talking that you're actually going to have an app on your devices now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we already have one to do all of our COVID check-ins. Like if you go into a store, there's a QR code, you have to do it.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're already tracking ourselves this way. But this new one it's essentially that they're also talking about bringing in the QR like wristband things. So that has all your identifiers and
well, here's the thing.
Also, if you dob on your neighbors for stuff, you actually can get a monetary reward off the government for it for dobbing your neighbors. So
didn't the Nazis legitimately do this shit too?
This is sounding just like it.
It's history repeating itself one more time, and nobody bloody listened.
It's history rhyming, not necessarily repeating itself, but yeah, it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
I mean, our prime minister has nowhere near the charisma of Hitler, so yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah,
because once they force you to have a program on your phone, I mean, that's just gateway for completely taking away all privacy that you think you have. It starts with a small program, and then it has access to your full everything, your microphone, your camera.
We have an article that we're going to be talking about that too, where it's basically it can go and like wipe data. It's pretty crazy. So Twos knows for 5, and I think I got this right, 5 American pesos. Next comes a suspension of elections to avoid spreading the coup at polling places. Well, yeah, or they'll just do it online because. You can fortify your election a lot easier when everything is done online, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, they can cheat like they supposedly did last time. So, yeah.
Well, there's a reason why I said fortify.
Yep, there's a reason.
Yeah,
it's
Toxic
the word
man
that
flew for 100 American pesos. Our freedom in the U.S. was built on the blood of those who had the courage to die on the battlefield. Their name was quickly lost to history. It was those who had the courage, risk it all, knowing they would not have their face on a dollar bill. What are you willing to do? Yeah. I mean, it's very sobering words. The thing I thought was interesting. Somebody brought this up on Tim Pool's show. I don't remember if it was Tim or not, but basically, he was talking about the whole thing with the American Revolution and even the Civil War. There was other countries backing those wars. It's like, could those happen today? Probably not. I don't know. It's weird. We're definitely in a weird spot. And like I said, if 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, you'd ask me, hey, do you think things would lead to authoritarianism in this country? I'd be like, probably not. I see bad shit, but I don't think it's that bad. But here we are. Eric K for 5 American pesos. Your papers. I must see your papers. If not, you wear these badges and tattoos. Yeah. I kind of feel like it's getting there because we are seeing COVID camps being built in Australia as well. Stuart Graham for another
health hotels.
Yeah, health hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For another $5 Australian. Yes, there is QR code login, but nobody checks it, and you can just walk straight into the shop. I have never checked in. Hopefully that remains not being an issue because, it's when they issue. This is the thing I think is just massively insane is that there was the guy that they basically put an arrest warrant out because he had the coof. He left his apartment. They filmed him sneezing in an elevator, and you know where they found him? They found him in the hotel where they basically sent him to, and they arrested him.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Holy shit.
Yep. And again, I mean, this is a country that was free. This was a country that I thought, hey, this would be a great place to retire. I was thinking Australia is a good choice. Let's move down to Australia, build ourselves a nice farm. Let's try to keep from dying because of everything there that wants to kill you. And, just live out the rest of our days. And unfortunately, there's no way I'll head down there. It's a shame because there are lots of people I'd like to hang out with. There's lots of opportunities down there for me for various different reasons. And I feel very bad, and I hope it turns around soon because this can't continue in Western countries. It just can't.
No, it can't because it's going to destroy democracy. And cars for $5 Australian. You think the COVID thing is bad in Australia? Check out the Identity and Disrupt Bill of 2021. This is legit scary. I'll have to look at that, man.
Oh man. Oh, every fucking time. It's like whether it's something like a 9/11 or now with the China bug. It's like, okay, we now need to change policies because some flaw happened in the world, and now we need to get involved to make it seem like we're gonna do more protection and safety when it's just more control. Like, can we just understand that shit fucking simply happens? It sucks, but we need to come to grips with the reality of that. Nope, we gotta get involved more. because of this event. It's almost like they use it as a scapegoat.
Yeah, it's like I said, with modern convenience has brought modern notions on death, right?
Yup.
And I'm not saying that I want to see people die, but death is a part of life, and people die from disease, war, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not justifying. I'm just saying it's just matter of factly, this is reality, and we've become too comfortable with our level of mortality. And it's not like I want it to go, up or anything. It's not like I want mortality to go up, but it's there's going to be instances throughout human history where mortality rates are going to go up.
Yeah, there is.
And once again, it reminds me of one time Az said on one of it may have been on FNT. He said he looked into like the top deaths, and the beer bug was not, it was like at like the lower of the top 20. And yet here they are doing all these insane rules and restrictions because of it. Like, you're talking in the top 20 and it's in the bottom tier, and you're doing all this shit for that. Let's not forget, of course, in America, people are not being seen for other treatments a la cancer because of this shit. And there's things that have such a greater level of mortality, and we're skipping all those for this thing. Oh my God, this pisses me off. How everything is focused on Corona. Ugh.
Hey, look, if this was like the Black Death, and 60% of the world's population was lost.
Yeah, that's
I
whole
can
different
maybe understand draconian measures to ensure the survival of humanity.
Yeah,
as long as it comes to an end, which we probably wouldn't. But we're not at that. We're not there. We're not
even close. Yeah, that's a problem. It's not even close. Like, if the thing is, if this was that bad, we'd be dropping like flies. Which it would be like a real life Thanos snap. We'd all be dropping like flies. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm glad we're not.
I'm glad it's not happening for sure.
Yeah, because, I'm happy about that.
Society as we know it would end at that point, and it kind of did for the people in medieval Europe. I mean, but. A loss of 60% of the population right now would be devastating because of how modernized we are. We're not in a agricultural society anymore, like where everyone was growing their food. We would have like legit losses in technology. I mean, society would literally grind to a halt. The power would turn off. And even if we did lose 60% of the population, I think that a lot of people that would most likely be fine are going to be in the more rural areas of the world.
It'd be absolutely catastrophic, but people won't care, and that's, I mean, governments and that, they won't care. That's what people do. They pay taxes and they die, and that's all they care about.
Certainties of life, paying taxes and death.
Yeah.
Well, here's the messed up thing, comics, like somebody in 40 ounce just said, and I've said this before: the suicide rate is higher than what's been going on with the thing.
Yeah.
So suicide rate has been astronomical all over the board.
Some words you don't want to say on YouTube, my friend.
I know.
Benjamin,
I'm still learning. I'm still trying. So,
hey man, how's it going? It's been a while. For 50 Danish krona. What truly scares me are the willing participants in the lunatic fascist measures. Turned XL yesterday, got some leftovers, B-Day cake, guys. Oh, awesome, dude. Happy birthday.
Nice.
Let's see. Toxic Man flew for 5 American pesos. Nick White's flavor number 1776. Back to the dick jokes creamsicle.
Yeah, I see what you did with 1776 too. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
32 flavors of Nick Weiser. All right. We also have a few more super chats, and then we'll get, I'd say, back to the article, but we technically haven't even started it yet. And cars for another 20 Australian dollars. The Identity and Disrupt Bill of 2021 grants the Australian Federal Police and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission the power to modify and copy, delete data on a person's online account. Yeah, that's I think one of the articles that we're going to be talking about is going to be covering that, and also on your personal device too, which is kind of frightening. Aussie drop bear for 50 Australian dollars. Latest stats are 1,019 COVID-related deaths in over 18 months. In 2017, we had 1,255 influenza-related deaths and around 916 in 2019 in 12 months in a 12-month period. The year to date, there are 483 notifications of influenza and 0 related deaths. Government stats. That's interesting.
And the thing of it is, they also say someone who died with COVID is now whether you died by a car accident or everything, you died with COVID, you go on that list of people who have died with COVID. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not dying from, it's dying with that they count it.
Yeah. Grant, in Chicago, we had this lady. You may or may not have heard of her. Her name is Lori Lightfoot. She's the mayor of Chicago. And they did like this whole press briefing with her and Governor Pritzker. And they said it doesn't matter if you died of it as the cause. As long as you had it in your system, that's all that matters. And they count them as part of the statistics. So we got that going up on here in the state of Illinois, which is where I'm from. So I'm seeing that shit, man, and that pisses me off because even in Toronto, they have their the Toronto Public Health, their blue check mark and all on Twitter. They said they are just saying it right out in the clear in the open that they're counting any deaths, whether it was as a cause or if they just had it as that. Like they're saying, like it's a totally acceptable thing, like which is absolutely insane. No, it's like imagine like being in like you had the coronavirus, but you died because like you were like in a motorcycle accident. Like, well, no, we're gonna count it as this, not a motorcycle accident. You are openly saying you are rigging this to make something sound worse than what it truly actually is. So now we'll ever know how truly bad it truly actually is because we have compromised institutions rigging all these numbers in favor of what the state wants, and it just goes to show you how deeply corrupt the state truly is when they work with all these institutions, social media, the media, now the health institutions as well, obviously public education as well. It shows you how deep this shit all runs and how, not to get all MCU, how it's all connected. And I know how wild and conspiratorial that sounds, but it shows you how connected it all is together as one big unit. It's filthy. It is. This state is so huge. It's like it's monolithic. It's a behemoth of a machine.
I don't know if there's a conspiracy, but I will tell you from experience, a lot of the problem is you have idiots making the important decisions. It's okay if you get into a car accident and your head is smashed in the back of a semi truck, okay, not COVID. But if you get into a car accident,
opportunism is what it is, really.
It's totally opportunity.
Okay, so now that Tox and I believe Terminus S is here, there's actually 2 super chats I want to cover that they did in the last live stream. Toxic Man Flu for 2 American pesos. Can we cut this? I need to weave because we. Nick Weiser flavor number 5. Kamala's twat with no air conditioning. I didn't have the Nick Weiser thing queued up, but we'll go with this. Okay. I know that we still have super chats, but I want to get to this article, or we'll never get to it at all. Okay. In a bid to keep the coronavirus out of the country, Australia's federal and state government imposed draconian restrictions on its citizens, which has been going on for well over a year at this point. Prime Minister Scott Morrison knows that the burden is too heavy. This is not a sustainable way of living in this country, he recently declared. No, it's absolutely not. One prominent civil libertarian summed up the rules by lamenting, "We'd never seen anything like this in our lifetime." Or in our lifetimes. And yeah, I don't think any of us have. Have you guys seen anything like this?
What they're doing in Australia? No. What they're doing around the world? No. What they're doing around the world is criminal. You have criminals that are being politicians right now. So no, none of us have seen this before. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up to now, one of the Earth's free societies, Australia, has become a hermit continent. How long can a country maintain emergency restrictions on its civilians' lives while still calling itself a liberal democracy? Well, the answer is you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Australia has been testing the limits, and sadly, I think those limits are not just going to be tested in Australia. Before 2020, the idea of Australia all but forbidding its citizens from leaving the country, a restriction associated with communist regimes, was unthinkable. Today is a widely accepted policy, and that's the problem, is the fact that it is actually being accepted.
Yeah.
I have no words for it. I wish people would wake up. Like you said.
Yeah. You're asking people who grew up being taught a certain way of life and thinking to be complicit and to not have a thought to yourself. When those people were taught that, they became so emotionally invested in it. And this is a lot of them. I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them, they became so attached to it. They made it almost the core root of their personality. When you take that out of them, they don't know who they are without it. And for them to change their political, social ideology would be to also alter their personality. And not many people alter their entire personality. And when people lead with this stuff, you're asking them to change their personality. And this is why I tell people, you don't let this. It's one thing to have like a certain way of thoughts and ideology, but when you let it define you to a point where it's your politics and social views first, that makes it that much harder for you to see things in the grand scheme of things, because you only think small, you think emotionally, you put logic in the back room. It's not even a thought. And you're seeing that play out in real time with people being raised. I mean, I feel like 9/11 ramped it up, but I feel like this dates back decades before that, but 9/11 definitely ramped it up. Once we saw the state get involved with 9/11, we're seeing all this shit play out in real time. Because I can at least remember when 9/11 happened, I feel like there were, maybe not in politics, but people, just random general U.S. citizens with a very individualistic lifestyle of mind. And that has slowed down drastically. And now I am playing this daily game of trying to talk into all the ears, as many and all of them as I can. Agree or disagree, to see where this comes from, what it is, and why individualism is a born thing. I've had people try to cancel me from it, and each time I've come out on top. I won't say from where and when, but I've come out on top. I've had to fight tooth and nail to do it. Is it worth it to have freedom? Yes, it's fucking worth it. I'll fight that much for it.
I think what we're seeing, and this is what I think a lot of the people who are authoritarians are kind of basing these things on, or I should say they're betting on, is that the normalization of the lack of liberty that people are basically having.
Yeah.
Get used to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just your guns, you know.
It always starts with
used to it.
It's
you know, look what we're seeing with the CDC, how they're declaring firearms deaths a epidemic.
Yeah,
they're going to try and get your guns one way or another in this country, either be it through the CDC, the suing of firearms manufacturers, which is a legal product. You know, rather than going after the people who are misusing them, they're going to go after the companies that create these products, and they're going to try and sue them into oblivion. And that's ultimately how you can succeed in gun control in this country, is by not disarming the population, by making it impossible to buy new firearms and to buy ammunition. So that's the thing that's very kind of frightening about all this. So, you know, stock up on your ammo while you can, folks. Stock up on your supplies to be able to press your own ammo.
Agreed.
Let's see. Australia's borders are currently closed, and international travel from Australia remains strictly controlled to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. A government website declares international travel from Australia is only available if you are exempt or have been granted an individual exemption. Wow. Again, we're talking about the government restricting the mobility of its citizens. Which could be coming here to the United States in the form of the infrastructure bill, because they want to tax you on the number of miles you drive. The rule is enforced despite assurances on other government websites dedicated to setting forth Australia's human rights treaty obligations, that the freedom to leave a country cannot be made dependent on establishing a purpose or reason for leaving. And again, this sounds a lot like what we're seeing coming out of China with the social credit system, because that's what they're doing. When you have a low social credit score in China, you can't take a train or, take a plane. You are basically screwed.
It's essentially the same thing here at the moment, like with everything locked down. Like truck drivers have to get checks every week. I mean, just basic stuff. Food trucks are allowed to go through, but the government decides what is essential and what's not essential. Like you go out to a place to go buy shoes, you can't. The place is shut down. So you go to a hardware store. Now only people who have trades degrees can go into our hardware stores because of this. Half the restaurants in the state
people
are
only
closed.
with trade degrees can go into a hardware store?
Yeah.
What
So
the
we got a big chain called Bunnings, and anyone could go in there. But because there was a lot of people going into Bunnings, so obviously more people in there, more chance of infection. That happened, and then now you can do an online pickup, collect order, but if you want to go into the store itself, they're only opening it up for tradies.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
And now they want to do that online with everything. Like the idea of social points or social credit system is.
Yeah, of course.
Because, like, I mean,
online makes you lazier. It makes you stay home, not keep in shape. You don't go to a workout gym. You just rely on everything to be sent to your home without leaving your home. Your home is your prison, essentially. When you're in jail, you have a few areas you can go to, but at the end of the day, everything has to come back to your cell, and they're making your home your cell. It's one thing for your home to be your home, but it sounds like your home is becoming your cell, and that's scary.
Well, we've got our two hours mandated allowed exercising outside, but if we do it with someone outside of our household, there has to be a certain thing. Like I got my grandparents who live in the same town as me. They're in their mid 80s. In the last 2 months, I've been able to see them 2 or 3 times. When it was something that would be multiple times a week, go over there and try and tell my 2-year-old daughter, no, you can't go over and see Nanny. She doesn't understand it, and that's everywhere. We're in a small rural town that's had 0 cases, and like I work as a cleaner. I have to have a mask on all the time to do it. I had to get my I got my jab today because I have to, because as of next week I'm not able to work without it. So. And I need to be able to support my family, and this is the situation that we're in. Some people have it easier, some people don't. We got a whole heap of money last year off the government each week because of it, because they promised it was only going to be 2 weeks, and because it wasn't 2 weeks, they essentially rewarded us and got us used to staying at home. You can get free delivery on alcohol, but you can't go to a gym. You can get food places in there, and I mean, if the CDC and everything want to talk about disease as an epidemic, I mean, alcoholism has become one of the most prolific killers, especially in the last 18 months. Purely and simply on the fact that it's the only thing you can do. I can't go to the cinema, but I can get a bottle of Jack Daniels and watch reruns on Netflix.
Well, that's what they want of you. They want you to become lazier, so you become dependent on the state. And it's working for a lot of people because they say, oh, hey, look at this money come in. Look at everything I can get done at home. And in theory, some of it does sound okay. But the thing is, it's one of those things where once they take away, because a lot of these things they will, to some degree, they will. Hopefully, not to you, but someone's gonna get affected by it, and they're like, oh shit. Then they're like, oh fuck, I depended on this, whether it was the online thing, because they get so compliant to it and they become desensitized to, like, okay, we've been at this for a while. Now this is just what we have to accept because it's been going for so long. Why go back? Because when have we ever gone back on a rule? Never.
Yeah.
Unless historical revolution happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, the kids get affected the worst as well with it. Like,
oh yeah,
my 2-year-old hasn't had a play date because they weren't allowed. You know, she started off the first 6 months of her life being immune deficient because she was 2 months premature, and then by the time she was ready to go and be able to go to daycare, we couldn't because everything was happening. So I've got a 2-year-old who's growing up with the social activities just being her parents.
You need socialization with children that young. I mean, and that's the thing that they haven't talked about. Of course, they're not going to talk about probably till like years after this has happened, is the impact that the COVID lockdowns has had on children and stunting social growth.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's a scary thing. She's my only child, and you want to do everything the best that you can, but to the point where, you know, I've got no choice but to comply whether I want to or not. I have to do this, I have to do that. And then when this social credit system comes in, if I want to be able to conduct my business, which I do using online social media and everything, which is the only way that I can do it, I'm now going to have to comply to all what they want with all their rules.
Yeah.
So, you know, they poison us with our love for our family. And that's the thing that's the hardest part to come with, because you want to stand up, and you know you're not going to change the system by, you know, ducking down behind the lines, but at the same time we're surviving, and that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, and surviving is not always living, right? And that's the thing that's still kind of fucked up about all this. All right, so Computer Robots has a question for us. It says, hi, Comics Division, chat, and guests on the stream. I got a question for all. How did China's economy become more successful than the Western countries today, and what historical event led to this? You can blame Nixon and what's his name?
Buying out America.
Yeah. When Nixon basically
Clinton.
opened up
Nixon and Clinton.
No, well, Clinton also plays a role, but it's somebody else too that was involved in the Nixon administration. Henry Kissinger, I think, is who it was. They're the ones that were responsible for normalizing relations with China, and obviously Clinton gave most favored nation status back to China, or continued it, I should say, back in the 90s. I remember when that was being talked about, and yeah, I mean it's there's a lot of things that led up to this. It started, like I said, with Nixon, the Nixon administration, and the regulations that were put in place here that basically kind of forced us to send our jobs overseas, send our manufacturing to China, because they are penalizing companies for manufacturing here in the States, and they're giving incentives to China.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the regulation, Comics. It's
part of it, dude. It's part of it. It's not the entire thing.
Yeah, but it was primarily the incentives of the cheap labor to send manufactured goods, any of the raw manufactured stuff. We would send our raw materials over there and get refined goods back at a much cheaper rate. It was even cheaper to send it out of the country, import it back into the country, and work with it from there. Eventually that whole, work with it from their step was left back in China or in other countries as well. I mean, there are times when a good that you get will move from China to India and then back to the States. The raw material goes from the States to China to India and then back here, or some similar pattern to other countries. This happens all the time. And in fact, the expansion of Alibaba in China only exacerbated the situation for moving jobs elsewhere. The idea that, nobody wants to do X job, was something that was a mantra for the people that are like globalists, right? Americans don't want to do that job. We'll send it over here. Americans don't want to do that job. We'll send it over here. And it slowly, that even led up to losing tech jobs. If you watch that happen, which I watched actively happen during my lifetime, you realize that they took entire IT departments and outsourced them to other countries because it was cheaper. Even though all the people and everything that you needed to deal with was not in those countries. So that's how you end up with help desks and things like that outside of where you are, who have no idea the equipment that you're using, the software that you're on, what version of whatever it is that you use, or even how it interacts within your company with other pieces of software. That's all thanks to globalism. Yeah.
There's two comments I want to read that are really good. So this is coming from Lindsay, the Cynical Geek. It says, and Nixon was a Republican. They had us believe that the Democrats and the Republicans were the same uniparty. They kind of are. It's weird. It's like they are and they aren't. They are on the big issues such as globalism. But they aren't on the social ones, which I think is kind of interesting. Godzillionaire says Sam Walton, and if you don't know who Sam Walton is, he's the guy responsible for Walmart and Sam's Club, is the one responsible for China's rise. He showed everyone people would buy crap from overseas if it was cheap. I always thought his whole thing was buy American, though. I thought that was like the biggest thing with Walmart for the longest time is buy American. And obviously that changed. Because that's not the case anymore. But yeah, I always thought his thing was buy American, and after he died is when the family changed it.
Oh man, when the family changed, I've had many friends who worked in that industry, and they changed everything when he passed. Like they used to get full time to basic employees, and like many retailers, not only did full time became a thing only managers can have. They reduced shit to a point where it used to be like a thing where if you work third shift, you got extra pay because obviously it's third shift. Now third shifters get paid the same in some states as the basic day shifters. So that's how much they're shafting people. And one guy I know, when they would work close to 30 hours, they would have to fill out a form saying, I'm not going to accept full time. And you will cut my hours the next week so the computer doesn't show I'm a full timer. So they knock you down to part time. So yeah, they do shit went to hell after Sam Walton passed.
No, it did. Yeah, because my dad used to work there, so doing things, and the change that he had to quit because they were just screwing him over constantly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Sam was a big fan of the truck drivers, all truckers, not just the ones that drove for him. So you would have overnight parking for a lot of semis. The truckers would know that they could go to Walmart and be safe amongst their own at night and park their trucks and protect their goods and everything else. And that ended too when we lost Sam. So and again, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Comics. He definitely was, a made in America kind of guy. They really put a lot of made in America merch in their place. They still ended up with some cheap goods from other countries. There's no doubt about it. But they were very American driven and very America. I don't know. He was more national than he was, international. Even when they expanded down into Mexico and other markets around the world. So, yeah. So your memory's not wrong.
All right. I want to hit some super chats before we get back to the article. Toxic Man flew for another 5 American pesos. You can take my life, but you can't take my dick jokes. Good old Toxic Man flew.
Yeah.
Toxic Man flew for another 5 American pesos. What do you call a death of cancer patient with pneumonia? Cancer death. Cancer with coof death. Yes, and Tox actually works in the medical industry, so he does know some of these things that are happening. All right, so I want to get this one from Johnny Dave. with a $5 Australian super chat, or did you do dollars? Thank you for doing this comics, and hail to all. Love from Chinese Democratic Western Australia. Here's to our kids. God help them. USAU. Yeah, dude. Liberty is something I care very much about, whether it's in my country or another country, and it's all dominoes, right? I mean, if you guys lose your civil liberties, it's just a matter of time before that spreads to the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's harder. It's harder for every other free country to maintain them. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, so U.S. flag, Australia flag, absolutely.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I didn't.
We've been partners for a long time in a lot of different ways, but yeah, you're not wrong. And careful how you spell hail, my friend. Little advice.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I just noticed that when I had the super chat pulled up, it didn't show the flags, but when I looked over at my other screen, it actually had the flags.
Yeah, I only picked that up like 2 days ago because I kept seeing that, like the flags on there, and I'm like, oh, so I just read the letters. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's cool. USA, all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, those are flags. I'm a dummy. But no, it's not you, dude. That's how it comes across on StreamYard. So that's what we see on this side. It's just weird. So.
Well, I have it split screen, but I primarily look at the screen on the.
Oh, I know, me too, dude.
Right.
I'm terrible, man, when it comes to that, because I'm like cheating on the StreamYard, or like with Twitch, I'm cheating on the OBS, so I never see that stuff. But
I gotta have my tablet open just to see half the stuff, and sometimes I have it on my TV, YouTube on the TV, but sometimes it doesn't show everything, so I gotta go and look on my tablet to see if somebody said something else that I didn't see on the TV. So while I'm streaming on my phone, so
it actually is really easy. It would be difficult for people to lose some of their comforts in this country, but it's actually really easy to cut off China in this country because we have all the natural resources and the ability to ramp up to produce things again. We're actually actively pursuing that in the microchips and everything, because we used to do all our own chip manufacturing here. We had big companies like Motorola and several others, On Technologies, and many more, that produced microchips and everything that we need. We can ramp all those industries back up. It'll take a little bit of time, probably a year or so, but so we'll, your technology will be a year older. Oh no. But at the same time, we can cut off all that stuff, because guess what? We can make everything else. We always have. It was, it would be super easy to just say, you know what, China, we're done. Sell your cheap goods to another country. And if every Western country did that, China would implode. They built a monstrous middle class over there. Those people absolutely would rebel against the government if they still had to live under the rule, the communist rule and system over there, with like none of the luxuries that this growing middle class has become accustomed to. So, Australia, you deal with hard times. In the United States, we've dealt with hard times. Hard times make hard people. And, hard people make good times. So,
and the cycle repeats.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
In the States, under the right leadership in this country, we just say, you know what? We're done. China, your influence is too great. We're going to cut off any trade. We're going to monitor currency transactions between China and any other foreign government that makes its way eventually into the United States, and we're going to eliminate those. And we're just going to cut you off economically, and that creates something that creates an immediate emergency for them.
It does. Too bad Beijing Biden will never take care of that.
Oh, wait, yeah. Except that, if the next round of pick your leader isn't fortified substantially, they're gonna have a hard time with that. That's all I have to say to that.
Yeah.
All right. So now I can get the Riff Korean's comment. Riff Korean the base for 5 American pesos. Never mind Nixon/Kissinger. China has a long memory and holds a grudge. This is payback towards the West for the century of humiliation, 1850 to 1949. Mao.
Yeah, except that again, I mean, the legitimate Chinese government. I'm going to say something controversial. It doesn't reside in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I know I'm right.
Yeah, he is true. So.
Sorry, Rowan. I'm probably gonna butcher your last name. Is it Magion? For $7.99 Australian, the Australian government is currently doing a gun buyback while we are on lockdown. Wow. I mean, I thought they already did that back in '96 when there was that one shooting that happened.
Yeah, that was mainly semi-automatics and like high action bolt rifles.
Yeah.
So what are you guys allowed to own now currently?
Rifles, handguns. I mean, we can't even bulletproof vests are illegal. We can't even have those. So yeah, and you have to get your gun license, which takes 12 weeks, and then you have to do your government mandated shooting every month to keep it. Yeah, it's a gun culture is very different here than the States.
Yeah. That's the thing is, being in Texas, I'm very fortunate now that it is September 1st. Actually, I guess it's the 2nd. But as of September 1st, we can open carry and conceal carry without a license. I already have my license, so it's, doesn't affect me too much. But that was one of the things that Beto O'Rourke was complaining about today. That little bitch can go fuck himself. I can't stand the guy. I don't like Ted Cruz, but I hate Beto O'Rourke more.
Yeah, I would agree. And Beto O'Rourke is one of those proofs of guys where when people are like, oh, so and so is not doing this, he's doing that. And then Beto O'Rourke is proof of one of those guys who said that what we knew all along. He confirmed what we knew all along. I think it's 2020 is like, oh yes, we are coming for the guns. When people are trying to defend previous arguments in years before, no, they just want to, minimize this or whatever the word this, just to, they try to once again, play the whole word game, word it in different ways. But Beto O'Rourke just said the quiet part out loud and said, no, I want to come for them. And
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And of course, it just confirms once again what we knew all along. It was never about so-and-so buzzword or fancy nice word to make it sound okay. It was always about control, and people who try to defend it now are going to get into argument because sooner or later these buzzwords and speaking nice isn't going to save them. It's not, and that's just the truth. It's going to catch up to them. That's the part they don't think about. They never think about the long-term consequences. They only think about what they need to change at the moment because this is where the outrage is focused on. This is what's currently hot on the media outlets. This is what politicians are talking about. So we got to focus on the moment, change everything to focus on the given moment. They don't think, but what if it backfires us? They don't think, oh, what if this works against us? They only think, okay, we're going to deal with this problem. And then they'll play shock when the problem backfires. And then they'll want to change it again, whether it's reverse course or try to do some other alternative method. So they always play shock every single time this shit happens. Like, you guys not realize everything is not going to be perfect like ever. No perfect solution exists. There are some that are better than others, of course, but perfection is never going to exist. Stop trying to work for something that is literally not impossible. Not just literally that is figured. It is literally possible for perfection to exist. It's just, that's the truth. And we need to accept that reality. We need to be taught that reality too, because if people are constantly conditioned to be taught perfection, that's all they're going to expect and want, and somehow think that it will exist, even though it never will.
Yep. So Tone's review says, Comics Vision, the original Megatron toy is illegal in Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, there's a lot of things I know that like toy guns aren't allowed, which is pretty
oh my God.
Yeah. Even like rubber bullet guns or I'm trying to remember what it was. Airsoft guns aren't allowed. There's a lot of things. Even certain video games I know are also banned in Australia.
Yeah,
certain things.
Believe it or not, that actually saved.
Whatsoever.
That actually saved a few kids' lives where cops have killed a few people in America for holding a gun and they thought it was actually real. I don't stand by it, but at least it saved a couple lives.
Yeah, except that most of those things that you're talking about, they have either orange or yellow or bright green tips on them that indicate they are not a normal firearm and are made of plastic. So situational awareness, but regardless.
I remember when we didn't have those back when I was little, and they started put all the orange tips on the guns.
I remember when I was growing up, we basically had realistic looking cap guns.
Yeah, we did.
We had like the
6-shooter.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's stuff like that, but we also had like squirt guns that were like battery powered that looked like actual, real machine guns. Uzis. It was pretty crazy.
Uzis. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. And you know what?
One of those.
It was fine. Guess what? People weren't so reactive to that type of thing. It was it was normal. It was not anything out of the ordinary. But speaking to that, video games, the video game you couldn't play in Australia, or that Australia got its panties in a bunch for, was, believe it or not, a Saints Row video game.
I thought Saints Row and
GTA.
Grand Theft Auto too.
Yeah, they did not like it, and those games are funny as hell.
Not no more. Not Saints Row. Because
no. I'm not talking about the new remake, which is the soy milk version of it. But it just unfortunately, we have a small group of very loud, very annoying humans that get a lot of attention in the media, and they need to sit down, or they're going to find themselves in a worse predicament. Because you know what the Chinese folks don't like? Diversity.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Look no further than Finn on the poster of The Fall of Skywalker.
Well, it's also the reason why Black Panther had his mask on the poster.
Yup. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm one of those guys. I like a superhero suit fully on, but that's for superhero purposes, not racial purposes. Like, I don't need Iron Man taking off his helmet every 5 minutes.
Or
I just like Iron Man wearing the helmet.
Or Peter taking his mask off every 5 minutes. That bothered me too.
I know.
I didn't like that. I didn't like when Cap was like hardly ever wearing his cowl. I mean, there's a lot of problems I have with, the stuff. But getting back to more serious things like this article.
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to get. I want to get Roof Crean's comment, then your Muslim uncle's comment as well. Roof Crean the base for 5 American pesos. First thing Mao did in China was push women's equality. Second thing he pushed, demonizing landlords / landholders. Third, break up families, resisting communism. Absolutely.
Yep.
Roof Crean also,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Your Muslim uncle says, anyone else blood pressure raising because of all this stuff?
Dude, I've been there for weeks now. I mean, I know because I check every morning. I've been there for weeks. And the thing is Comics Division goes out of his way to see if he can get my head to spin.
It's not like I'm really going out of my way. I mean, it's just stuff that pisses me off too. You're just a little bit more reactive to it than I am, I guess. I don't know. One thing too, I'm trying to see if I can find Guy Scar's comment. He went to go see Shang-Chi tonight, and apparently had to prove that he was vaccinated to go see it.
What? Oh my fucking god!
What state was this in?
I think he's in Canada.
He's in Canada.
He's in Canada.
Okay. Oh, and if it's there, I don't. Yeah. No wonder.
Alonzo was saying the same thing, that he's not going to be able to go out to the movies until he gets vaccinated. Yeah, that's horrible. Any kind of social gathering, events, bars, restaurants, movies. Canada's locking down hard.
I remember when those things existed.
And the Canadian people, and that's the worst thing, is a lot of these people, they just go with it. They don't, and that's why I'm proud of countries like the UK and France. They've been protesting the hell out of this shit for the last several weeks in droves, and hopefully they don't stop. Because the thing is, because we continue to give the government so much power over the years, we have to fight that much harder to take it back, because they're so used to having power. They might just think, for the last few weeks, oh, this is just them having their moment. They'll be over in a few weeks, because at that time they'll be accepting of it. People in the UK or France, wherever you're rebelling, do not stop. Like, do not compromise at all until you know shit is actually going to change. Not just change where it sounds nice on paper, like you see for real change.
All right. One last comment, then straight to the article. David, Wang Shi and the Legend of the Ten Weaves. It already is.
Here we go.
Okay. The nation's high court struck down a challenge to the country's COVID-19 restrictions. It may be accepted that the travel restrictions are harsh. It may also be accepted that they intrude upon individual rights. No shit, it ruled. That's good. That's good that they actually fucking struck that shit down. But Parliament was aware of that. What was that?
Go ahead, comics.
Okay. I thought somebody had a comment. Until last month, Australians who are residents of foreign countries were exempt from the rule, so they could return to their residence. But the government tightened the restrictions further, trapping many of them in the country too. Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Interstate travel within Australia is also severely restricted, and the government of Southern Australia, one of the country's 6 states, developed and is now testing an app as Orwellian as any in the free world to enforce its quarantine rules. People in South Australia will be forced to download an app and that combines facial recognition and geolocation. The state, and again, I have to point out, folks, that this is coming from The Atlantic that is pointing this out and not some local conspiracy website. The state will text them at a random time, and thereafter they will have 15 minutes to take a picture of their face in the location where they are supposed to be.
Timed. Like, what if you're cooking at home, or if you're sleeping for 8 to 10 hours? There's Drew. Like, do they not ever consider these things of variables of, like, some people, to be very fair, do have a life at home. There are some people who are very good at occupying their time at home, and they're just really good at it, which kudos to them. That's awesome that you can pull it off. But do they not ever factor that into the decision? Once again, they should never be enforcing these decisions ever in any circumstance. But the fact that they're saying, like, you got to do it in this time, like, no one can have a life under these conditions, even at your own home, even.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, this is like legit. This is no longer draconian, right? This is literally Orwellian, okay?
Oh, this is beyond it.
Yeah.
It's borderline slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Australia, if you can hear me now, throw away your cell phones. Can they get you if you don't have a cell phone? What if you just don't have a cell phone?
Right, that's a good question, LGG. What if you don't own a cell phone?
I haven't had one in 6 years because of this shit.
I have a question. Can you utilize Calyx in a way that will make it so they can't do this stuff?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know how this is even possible. You know, I mean, obviously the government would have to have your cell phone number to randomly text people.
You're being forced to download an app. The question
I guess if you are forced to download an app, they basically have your information at that point.
Right. So
if they have access to the ISPs, right? That they have access to your phone numbers, they got the list, they can easily ping your phone. So
here's the thing: you can use an IMEI scrambler. There's a lot of different steps you can take. I'm trying to think of some ways, some clever ways to get around it, but
you use a Faraday cage.
No. This beyond that.
That would block your phone altogether.
Yeah.
What would stop them from? What would stop them from having a Wi-Fi detector and detecting your phone remotely and say, "Hey, you, I got a signal. Let me see your cell phone." Like, you know what I mean?
You could.
They probably
a lot of people have their Wi-Fi enabled on their phone, right? How many of us have? Well, not me, but you guys. How many of you guys have your Wi-Fi enabled on your cell phone?
I have my Wi-Fi enabled on my phone.
They can find you from that alone. Yeah. Radar in on you.
I don't think I did that. I think I.
Well, I mean, I use my Wi-Fi at the house. That's the reason why.
Yeah,
it's on.
I have mine.
And they can find you from that. No problem. Knock on your door. Knock, knock, knock. Please let me see your cell phone. All right.
I have a
you
closed
the app installed?
network at home.
Because if your Wi-Fi is enabled, then most likely the app will automatically send out a "I'm okay" signal. So then they can skip all the people who get the signal from. But if they don't get the signal and they get a Wi-Fi signal, they know you have a cell phone. There's other ways they can do it too. But yeah, this is going to get really
They can also
ugly.
track you by the towers that your cell phone is, is
Yeah,
contacting.
triangulate the signal for your phone. That's true. But yeah, you can actually keep your phone from sending in like a what you're calling a packet exchange. You know. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of ways around it. I mean, you could set up a proxy server within, that sends everything out, and you could go strictly through Wi-Fi, and then they would never know where your phone was as long as you were home.
Okay, so let's get through this paragraph. All right. Should they fail, the local police department will. And this is the funny thing. I'll comment after this. Okay, should they fail, the local police department will be sent to follow up in person. We don't tell them how often or when on a random basis they have to reply within 15 minutes. Premier Stephen Marshall explained. I think every South Australian should feel pretty proud that we are a nation. We are the national pilot for the for the home base quarantine app. Okay,
that all guinea pigs. In other words,
you know what?
Yeah.
This sounds
hang
like...
on. Let me get my comment out. Australia, South Australia, they can't get you all. There is more of you than the police. Just fucking defy it in droves. They can't.
Not
get
only
you all.
that, look, the minute they send a signal, reach out to your neighbors and just all be there in mass to greet them when they show up, to say, why didn't you send back a photo? Well, because there's 150 of us. How's it going?
And here's the thing: the people outweigh everything.
I would love to see that. That'd be cool.
That's a weird thing. They'll just send the army.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it. That happened to a friend of mine I went to school with. He lives in an apartment complex, and the bloke 2 floors below him tested positive for COVID. He was isolating. He was 2 days away from his 14-day isolation, and then the army come and took him to the health hotel, as they like to call it. But yeah, the army come and knocked the door. He didn't do anything wrong, but because he was in the building, he was deemed too dangerous to stay.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
But did he come back in 2 weeks, or did you never hear from him again?
I'm not too sure. I'll have to follow up to find out. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. When I heard it, I was just like, yeah, that didn't happen. And he posted video about him being taken away, and I went, okay, this is starting to get scary.
Off to the COVID camp with you.
Yeah.
See, that my ultimate fear is what they're going to be using the COVID camps for is basically putting the dissidents, the people who don't want to get the vaccine, the people who are suspected of being exposed to the coof. That's the thing. I would be probably the most concerned about is that basically it's going to be a concentration camp for dissidents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other states also curtail their citizens' liberty in the name of safety. The state of Victoria announced a curfew and suspended its parliament, holy shit, for key parts of the pandemic. To put it in context, federal and state parliament sat during both world wars and the Spanish flu, and curfew was never imposed. Wow.
And they still managed to pass so many of their legislations and everything that they needed unhinged because of it.
How convenient. The scholar John Lee observed in an article for the Brookings Institution in response to a question about whether he had gone too far with respect to imposing a curfew, avoiding the question for why a curfew was needed when no other state had one. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews replied, "It is not about human rights. It's about human life." Fuck your freedoms. Translation.
Yeah. Well, the major thing is, and Alex Jones has been pointing this out. It's all medical tyranny. This has all been according to the plan. They were looking for any reason to build these facilities because eventually this is going to happen, and this is going to repeat itself globally. It's not just Australia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These facilities are being built, if not already built, in Germany, in France. France actually has them as well. They are really pushing this, and it's going to be, disguised under, it's the best for the population because of, the pandemic. But it's 100% what you said, Comics. It is imprisoning political opponents, dissidents, anyone who does not go along with the Great Reset agenda. That's exactly what this is. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And frankly, in order to reverse this in any country, it's going to take nothing short of a tragedy because these countries have a major thing in common, and that is no firearms.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I brought up earlier before you jumped on, Drew, is that, somebody thanked me for, talking about this. I was like, we're all in this together, man. It's like, just because it happens in one country doesn't mean it can't happen in another.
No, and that it's going global. It's spreading because this is a test bed. And if they deem it a success, it's going to be implemented rather quickly. You're going to see this spread like wildfire. And listen, it should be, not a surprise to anyone that it's going to go through all the European Union nations first, because they're already stuck under the boot heel of globalism the minute that they joined the EU.
Yeah.
Because the EU, that's exactly what it was set up for. And
this is the reason why the UK wants to leave the EU. In a lot of ways.
Has this already passed, or where's the timeline for this shit happening?
This is already going on. 100% already implemented and going on.
Brexit's over with, from what I'm to understand. Am I wrong?
No, I was telling LDG about the stuff in Australia. It's already going on.
Yeah.
The app stuff, this whole app thing on
this
the
is
phones
real
and
time.
having to check in.
This is happening.
This is
right
happening real time.
This is already passed. Go collect 200.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I mean, Australia, throw away your phones. Dear God. Oh my.
Yeah.
shit.
Right. LDG. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that it's going to have to come to a point where, once again, because technology advanced the way we did, that we only looked at the convenience of it. We didn't think about, once again, and this is something leftists do too, where they don't think about when it backfires at them. And I feel like even people who are more traditional left or just center, libertarian, right, whatever you want to call it, a lot of us didn't think about the consequences too because we enjoyed the pleasures of it. We enjoyed all the convenience of it. And that's why we see stuff like DuckDuckGo or Parler. They're playing this game of uphill battle. It's like, yeah, we have these services, these alternatives, and they're playing uphill battle trying to catch up with all these other big giants, and they're not as convenient. And a lot of people complain, oh, well, these don't work as well. It's like, yeah, there was a point in time where your Googles didn't work as well. And we also had stuff like Ask Jeeves. Like, remember Ask Jeeves, anyone?
Oh, I remember Ask Jeeves, yeah.
Bueller.
Ask Jeeves, yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes to
sold
show you how comfortable we all got with those things. We need to learn to become more dependent of oneself as our own individuals and use the stuff that's less convenient, put in the extra time, put in the extra work to learn things. Like Google and stuff like that made a lot of us lazy, whether it was intentional or not, because we saw all the convenience. It was
the
all
internet
the
in general
fingers,
has
the tip
made
of
us
our fingers.
lazier.
It has. It has. Oh,
Google definitely made me a lazy developer. They really did.
Yeah, even if that was unintentional on your end or not, it absolutely did. And that is why I'm glad I can at least say to myself, I know in the bottom of my black heart, I never stopped buying physical media. And I fell in love with modern technology but I never let it get to me to a point where it would become like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like, obviously I have a YouTube platform. I got to think about that, but at least the thoughts in my mind, I can start planting some seeds, and hopefully I can get something to grow and, well, blossom. We'll see.
The 32. You like that physical media? I'll give you
it.
some suggestion right now. You better buy like 20 DVD players, because let me tell you something. Physical media isn't safe, and they're going to come after that one day or another.
Oh, I know they're going to try.
They are.
Oh, they will. Trust me. That's why they're trying to
do it.
edit. That's right. Trying to edit everything digital now.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what happened with Gone with the Wind last summer, LDG. Do you know about that incident on Amazon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so you know. Enough said.
I know it. And I spread the word, and I got people telling me they'll never touch physical media. They'll never touch physical media. Really?
Oh, they will.
What happens when you buy a video game on disc, right? You got physical media, right? You buy a game. What's the first fucking thing that happens when you plug it into your controller?
Yeah, it's the modern age of book burning.
You don't think they're gonna do that with your DVD version of Gone with the Wind? You're gonna pop that in some new age DVD player, and it's gonna say 1 moment updating video.
Yeah,
It might not overwrite your disc, but it will overplay it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, you're absolutely absolutely right.
No. It's already being done. I mean, that's one of the features of Grace Note, is to send you updated trailers for your antiquated DVDs or Blu-rays. So, you will have Grace Note. So, you know what you do? You disconnect your freaking DVD player from the GD internet, and then you don't have to worry about that crap. It won't be downloading stuff.
Yeah, another Jen mentions that Critical Drinker did a video about the whole thing with Gone with the Wind. And yeah, it was a great video.
Mm-hmm.
All right, New South Wales Police Minister David Elliott defended the deployment of the Australian military to enforce lockdowns, telling the BBC that some residents of the state thought the rules didn't apply to them. You mean the freedoms that people are supposed to have in your country don't apply to them? Yeah, that's fuck off. Yeah. In Sydney, where more than 5 million people have been in lockdown for more than 2 months, in Melbourne, the country's second biggest city, anti-lockdown protests were banned. Well, of course, right? I mean, why would the government want their citizens protesting against them? That's the first thing you do, is you throw that shit out the window. And when dissenters gathered anyway, hundreds were arrested and fined, Reuters reported. Yeah. And the thing is that those fines are around $5,000. Wow, that is fucking ridiculous. That was from Tone's Reviews.
We had a very small protest in this town. We're a country town of about 2,000 people. There was 10 people it was a silent protest out the front of the council chambers. We only have one copper in town, but that day there was 4 detectives and 3 police officers. There was 2 fines handed out, a $5,000 and a $10,000 fine.
Jesus.
So once you get fined once, they up it again. So
yeah, well, it makes sense. They're going to hit you where it hurts, which is in your pocketbook.
And I mean, he's just said, I'm refusing to pay it. They'll take me to jail, And he says, then I'll starve myself there, and he said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be in a situation where I can't stand in the street without being arrested. Meanwhile, unfortunately, down the road from us, we had a lady who was assaulted, and the coppers didn't do anything for 3 days before they even went and saw her. Yeah, wow. People standing around the street. That's the big problem. That's the issue. We got to stop these extremists, these radicals.
These radicals that want to go outside and live their lives. Wow, how terrible. But this is the shit that's fucked up. Even in Texas, this is happening in go figure, Austin.
Austin.
The people's we lovingly refer to as the People's Republic of Austin. But apparently, there was an incident where there was a carjacking. They called the police and they didn't show up. Yeah.
Not shocking.
Not shocking at all. But that's probably all related to the defund the police nonsense that's happening there. Australia is undoubtedly a democracy. Well, it used to be, with multiple political parties, regular elections, and peaceful transfers of power. We'll see how long that lasts. But if a country indefinitely forbids its own citizens from leaving its borders, strands tens of thousands of its citizens abroad, puts strict rules on interstate travel. Let's see, prohibits citizens from leaving homes without an excuse. I've heard all about that. From an official government list, mandates masks even when people are outdoors and socially distant, deploys the military to enforce those rules, bans protests, and arrests and fines dissenters. Is that country still a liberal democracy? The answer is no.
No.
Doesn't feel like one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's 100% not.
I will defer to the individual living there, because to me, outside looking in, that does not look like a liberal democracy. So to you, does it feel like one?
No, it doesn't. And the worst part about it is if you asked me this question maybe a year ago, I would have said yes. And even though we had the same sort of things, it was the mentality of it. It'll be right, mate. She'll be right is the common thing that we say here. And they played on that to the point where, they're hiring actors to act like COVID victims on TV. And people know who these people are because they literally have crisis actor on their LinkedIn profiles. Like three different people who are the same thing all got interviewed at once. And the best part about being in a dictatorship, if you're truly oppressed, you don't know that you are. You don't even feel like you are. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of us still are at the moment. We hear nothing from our Prime Minister. He barely talks. You've got two different states that are in lockdown, both on completely different political aisles, and the same thing's happening. You can't do this, but we're all going to do this. And then when you do something, you're bad, but when we do it, we're allowed to. And I can't see family members. I literally had to cancel my wedding. I'm supposed to be getting married on the weekend.
Dude. Oh,
that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously there's much worse places in the world, but when we've been so used to a certain thing, and any sort of dissent is being portrayed as we're the ones that are causing it, when it's not. They want us to turn on each other instead of looking outwards towards the people that are responsible for this. For ages, we didn't even have anyone that died of the flu, and I'm like, oh, we cured the flu. Well, fantastic. How did we do that? Because everyone was dying of this, and then they fudged the numbers. And I got to look at a silver line. The positive side of it, I got to spend the first 2 years of my daughter's life basically with her every single day, all day. So, I can't complain too much, but it's just,
you certainly have to look on the bright side. That's for sure.
I feel like if I don't laugh, I'll cry.
Right.
No. Yeah.
And for an area that we are, like, we're a small country town, in regional New South Wales. We've got no issues around here. Like, farmers can't even go over and see their neighbours when they need help because that's now illegal. It's frowned upon. You can only go for an exercise for a couple of days. You can't go to public parks. Technically you can now. They've just lifted that. Swings and play equipment and all that. And but it's too late. We've lost gyms. We've lost restaurants. We've lost what made a small country town because we no longer have the basic infrastructure to do it, and we can't go to another town to do it because they're in a different government area and that's under lockdown. You have coppers patrolling the streets looking for people. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand how we got here, and that's the worst part.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, in a lot of ways, how we got here is that we let it happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of it too is like, we trust authority, right? Because we even though we all know it, they really don't have our best interests at heart. But it's like, okay, when they said 2 weeks to stop the spread, everyone's like, okay, 2 weeks. But the issue is that it stopped being just 2 weeks. And it went on and on and on, and people just, after 2 weeks, it becomes a habit at that point. I'd say probably after a month, for most people, it became a habit. but you think you're doing right by society by going, okay, we don't know anything about this disease. And that's the thing, is that we went into this not knowing how bad it is. Could this actually be the next Black Death? All right, because of how quickly it spread and how bad things that were. And we didn't want the system to get overloaded. Okay, so all that made sense. But the issue is they kept it, and they kept it, and they kept it. They kept it going and going and going and going, and that's why we're here. And we're seeing these protests all over Europe as well, where people are sick of the lockdowns. They want to have their lives back, and it's going to be an uphill battle to get it back. So yeah, I mean, it's part of it is it's like I said earlier, it's normalizing your freedoms being taken away from you.
Well, yeah, comics. I think they saw what happened in yesteryears of where people fought for their freedoms, and you said, okay, we see where we lost. How can we play the game smarter so we don't screw up this time? So they took advantage of every institution possible. Once again, education, the media, politics, everything else. And they shaped perception. Back then, there wasn't 800 million institutions telling you this is okay. Nowadays, you have that. Back then, all you had is a few institutions and your moral instincts. Nowadays, you have everyone jamming these words into your brain that this is the right decision, because people have accepted that program because it's what they're taught everywhere they turn. They have that to their advantage. And this is, once again, where we didn't think of how advanced technology could backfire at us because of that, because all these institutions are part of big tech, and big tech has brutalized and utilized that to their advantage, and we're seeing it play out in real time.
Well, they're the Australia was perfect to be the pretty much the first for all this stuff, because they were considered widely, one of the most progressive type countries. So under the guise of progressivism and the pandemic, you're not going to get a lot of pushback, because people were in on following everything, and then finally people started asking questions, but they had all of this stuff in place. So it's like they're asking the right questions too late, and now they're stuck in a situation where their country is, for all intents and purposes, irrevocably changed to almost a dictatorship. It's like, hey, we're a democracy, wink wink, but they're not. And once this, I guess, experiment is deemed a success, it's going to spread like wildfire.
Yeah. And Tone's review says that how Australia got here, no Bill of Rights, that's definitely a start, and very left wing ideology in public service. More to it, but that's a start. Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, you can't have all that without the compliance with the citizens as well. And part of it is if things keep going on this track, I mean, America is not immune. It may take it 10 or 20 years to get there, because they're going to have to do certain things. Right now, I mean, as we talked about, the Second Amendment is still a thing in this country. They're trying everything in their power to erode it, and that will take time, but they can't implement these policies or do these things overnight until they get rid of the Second Amendment. And the only way they're going to get rid of it is by starving out ammunition and your ability to actually purchase a firearm. You have the right to do so if you can find one, because all the manufacturers have been closed down because they've been sued into oblivion.
Well, certain people that I keep in touch with, news-wise, a couple people that I know, Jack and other people, have said that, look, they're going to make a gun grab soon. That is coming.
What's up,
the gun grab is coming. They've got the guy firmly implanted in this administration right now that was in charge of the gun grab during Katrina. So what do you think he's there for? To implement it on a large scale. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Well, I think the big issue, hopefully, is going to be the red states will not comply. And we've already seen this in Texas.
No, they won't. They won't, comics, but how do we solve it? Secession?
Yeah, no. You can't overcome the 10th. There's amendments in place to protect us from some stuff like this, Drew. It just is a matter of actually asserting states' rights. There are 28 states right now that are in a position to just say, you know what? No, thank you. And they just haven't done it. It doesn't take that much. It takes the fortitude of the citizenry and the leadership of that given state to just say, no, thank you. You can't do that. You're exceeding your national authority.
Well, it's like I said.
Go ahead, Drew.
That's like I said, culture. I mean, how do we solve this then? Secession? Because that seems to be like the only way. You don't have
to secede. You're seeing it in real time in Canada,
West Virginia, where they're basically like, no, you're not taking our guns.
So here's what we need to do. We need to pass a constitutional amendment that gives the states the authority to overturn any Supreme Court decision, and we need to give the states the ability to prosecute and form tribunals for federal government officials that are corrupt, and start trying and prosecuting these people and impeaching these people, and have a process in place for the states to be able to claw that power back.
Okay, so no, here's the thing, Wes. So we got to change these rules. First, we got to kick out a lot of people who are running the asylum in these institutions, because right now we're in the day and age where the insane have taken over the asylum. The insane have taken over the asylum, and they're the ones who are responsible, partially, for making all these irrational decisions by being the judge, by being the media, by being everything else. How do we kick them? How do we get rid of them first? Because we got to figure out that part out first. I feel like that's the thing. We're not dealing with rational people. We're in a day and age where the judges are not rational anymore. There's a time where it's objective. It's not.
Nick, you put a leader in place that's a leader, right?
Yeah, we need leaders. You're right. Go ahead.
You don't put a puppet in place in a dementia patient in a position of leadership, right? That was done for a reason, right? The guy that hid in his basement somehow got more votes than the guy that was actively campaigning with hundreds of thousands of people outside.
We don't need to rehash this.
No, well, okay.
but this guy was installed.
Yeah. We don't need to rehash this because of YouTube.
Okay. All right. All I was going to say is
we know that YouTube doesn't like dissent either on certain topics. And I would like to keep my channel so I can continue to talk about these things.
I agree. We need term limits for stuff.
Well, no, we need term limits. And frankly, the people need to remind the government that they're accountable to us. The
only way you're going to do that is by educating the people. I think that's step one.
Well, listen.
A lot of people are not educated enough.
That's what I try to use this platform for, to inform and try to help that along. But I mean, if I'm speaking passionately from the heart, and I'm going to right here, I'm pissed off, and I'm at the point where I'm at the point where I'd love to line up all these treasonous jerks and kick them into the never-ending pit.
That's clearly better than what I was saying, Drew. But anyway, look, I linked an article. Good Lord, I linked an article that just kind of outlines, the whole reason we're in this position, that the Atlantic was supporting this complete craziness that'll at least take us away from some of the more dangerous aspects of what we're talking about now, because suggesting we have actual leadership seems to be, an issue.
Yeah. All right. Let's this article. It looks like maybe there's 2 or 3 paragraphs left. Okay. Enduring rules of that sort would certainly render a country a police state, which is, what Australia is coming if they don't right this ship quickly. In year 2 of the pandemic with COVID-19, now through to be endemic rather than temporary emergency, the nation could avoid. How much time must pass before you must regard Australia as illiberal and unfree? I don't think you need to allow that much time to pass at all. I mean, I think we're at this point. Okay,
it's fly or die time.
Yeah, it really is. Did we lose somebody? And I wasn't looking.
No.
Okay.
No, the boys are here.
We
Oh
gained
no!
West.
Okay, I realized I had to scroll down to see West. Okay, so it's like, wow, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people on the street tonight.
It's a timely topic. And
Yep. All right. To give Australia's approach its due, temporary restrictions on liberty were far more defensible early in the pandemic, when many countries locked down and scientists understood little about COVID-19, COVID-19's attributes or trajectory. Australian leaders hope to flatten the curve of infection in an effort to prevent overcrowded hospitals and degraded care and the higher death rates that would follow. The country was also The country was also betting that within the time period short enough that restrictions could be sustained, scientists would develop a vaccine that protected against morbidity and mortality. And let's see here. Really, this article is long. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Just
full
keeps
of
going.
half truths.
Well, it is the Atlantic.
Yeah.
You know,
it is the
what would
Atlantic.
happen though? Would if okay, so this is mainly happening in the south of Australia.
Well, it's happening all over Australia, but the tracking
it is
the South Australia. Sorry, guys.
So, okay, so it's kind of like branching out.
Yeah. Well,
Gotcha.
no, it started in the eastern side, but the South Australia, because it's only got about 1 million people in the state, and it's the majority of that 1 million people is in essentially one city. So that's where they're trying it. They're trying it on a micro scale before they go macro for the rest of Australia.
And most of you are unarmed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what if there was, like, say, a movement of, I don't know, some somewhat realistic number. Let's say you pissed off 75% of Australia. So let's say 75% of Australia actually stands up and starts heading towards the capital. Would the army actually do anything? Like, what do you do? I mean, would they actually, like, open fire on you?
I can't say whether they would or not. I mean, all I know is that they are patrolling. They are acting like police. Some of my friends who are in the special forces and everything, and that they refuse to. They take their leave so they don't have to. Other ones are just like, well, I've got a job to do. It's a shit situation, because I know the majority of especially the guys in the army, they don't want to be doing it to their citizens. If it came down to it, I don't believe that they would, but I've been proven wrong at basically every term when it comes to this whole situation. So who knows?
Wow.
Nick,
So
I'll be honest. If I was part of the army and I saw a revolution that size, your own country standing up against you, I would have to tell the truth, man. I quit. I'm on the wrong side.
And here's the thing, man. Did you guys see that one video from that young woman who was in the U.S. military, saying if they declare martial law, she's patrolling the street, and you don't follow orders, that she would shoot you?
She'll shoot you. Yeah, that bitch.
I did see that.
Oh God, that shit pissed me off.
I almost wonder if that's real, because I'm just so shocked by it that you have an American say something like that.
I think
I'm not surprised.
I think a lot of people would comply.
they would. I've seen people nowadays say, "Oh my God, freedom is so harmful." They actually say those words, word for word.
It's
not exaggerating.
ridiculous.
They're literally saying that stuff's very harmful. Like, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, the civic
something
ignorance is really, it's pretty scary. I mean, people don't know the Constitution. They don't know why we have a Constitution. They don't know what it says. They don't know the Bill of Rights. They don't know.
Well, I mean, we have people trying to
behind
legitimately say that the Constitution of the United States is racist.
Yes.
It is basically a white supremacist document. That's what people are trying to say. And again, the reason why they're associating things with racism and white supremacy is because they're trying to make it bad so we can get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because one thing is,
they want anarchy.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to point out, I don't have a dog in this fight. I really don't care about Confederate statues. I really don't. But what do you think is going to happen once they remove the last Confederate statue?
Oh, they're going for the next group of people.
You're going for the Founding Fathers.
Yeah, they're going for the Founding Fathers. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen soon.
It was never just about a few statues. Yeah. Like everything else, it's never about a few. It's once you give them it, they want more. They are hungry for more, and they will never stop at nothing. And this is where I blame the McConnells of the world, because they did the whole stop and go, and we are suffering the consequences because they fed the beast. They kept creating the monster, making it that much hungrier because it kept coming back for more. That whole argument for years on, we gotta get the Democrats off our back. Who the fuck are you trying to tell that to? They're never gonna get off your back. They will never stop because people like you have no spine. You kept giving them this, and they want more. I can't believe you actually think people would actually buy them getting off your back. When have they ever been given something and they say, okay, this is where we stop? I would love to know when. I will wait. It doesn't exist.
Nope, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Another thing, too, that Tone's review points out is that a recent protest in Melbourne, tear gas and rubber bullets were used on unarmed protesters.
Yeah, vehicles weren't used, though.
Sadly, that is typically the case whenever there's a protest by the cops.
Well, I know in the chat somebody had mentioned Kent State, Godzillionaire did, and it may take an event like Kent State, whether it's here or abroad, something like that, a tragedy to happen that can't be ignored, that people have to see in order to wake a lot of people up. And that's sad because for as many people as we reach collectively each day, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Wes, whether it's culture, any one of us that talks about real world things and tries to open people's eyes, there's still so many that are in this fog where they don't want to either come to grips with it, or they're so ingrained in the agenda that they don't take time to understand what they're following. And that is a problem. And many don't come to the light until it's too late.
Well, look at your typical normie, they have this, basically most people, I'm self-employed, I have a business, and a lot of us on here have businesses. That's a different life than your normie. Your normie, you're at work at this time, you're at lunch at this time, you're home at this time, you're regimented, you're conditioned. And you interact basically with the people around you at this job, or maybe a close circle of friends that you may have had in your past jobs or past, from school. And so it's an easier transition for somebody that might run a business that has to interact with a lot of people. And,
sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say no. Godzillionaire brings us a very good point. He says that Dan Vast's F&T song charted in the US and UK. That proves you guys have a voice.
That's true. That's true. That is saying a lot, especially in the US.
And he hit number one. What was it, Nick? In metal and rock?
Yeah, was that in both countries? Yeah. Both countries.
Yeah, number one. He beat out everybody. So
yeah, that's saying a lot.
Well, if you think about how big Gary's audience is, and if a third of that audience went, you definitly blow the charts. Because he has over 300,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's 350,000, something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. No, people are paying attention. Luckily, there is people, and we gotta not stop. And as frustrating as it gets, and there are days where it gets tougher than others, we have to stay the course. As I've always said, I know I'm just echoing the same words again, but it's true though, because more and more are gonna catch on. I can only hope that it's gonna be much, much, much sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, you know, when to finish my point, when you talk to people from all walks of life, all socioeconomic circumstances, all races, I mean, a lot of people, you know, you hear different opinions and you hear different things, and by and large, everybody pretty much seems to be just a normal, average adjusted person, you know, well-adjusted person. And you know, for somebody that with common sense, and so if you bring the information to them and don't censor it, which is what we're doing, eventually, you know, outside of their circle of friends or their sphere of influence, when they go to their office and they come home, you know, they tune into the internet and they might find someone like us, and maybe my voice isn't going to resonate the way Drew's voice does, or Nick Weiser's going to resonate in a way that I won't, and that's how we get through, and that's what I hope we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, as it turns out, the bet paid off. Had it behaved rationally and adequately valued liberty, a rich nation like Australia would have spent lavishly before knowing which vaccine would turn out to be the most effective to secure an adequate supply of many options for its people. It could afford to eat the cost of an extra dose and donate them to poor communities. Australia then could have marshaled its military and civil society to vaccinate the nation as quickly as possible, lifted restrictions more fully than Europe and the United States did, and argued that the combination of fewer deaths and more rapid return to normalcy made their approach a net win, which they absolutely did not do. Because whenever somebody, and we're talking about cases, not deaths, whenever somebody tested positive, Australia would immediately go back into lockdown. I'm pretty sure our resident Australian could probably back me up on that because he's living it currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even have cases and we're on lockdown. So this lockdown was, I feel, a reactionary thing because the protests were starting to get more and more and more during the time that we were able to do it. So then they forced everyone to stop so then they can push in the new laws and new things and get us to just to bend over, take it, and smile.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. Instead, Australia invested inadequately in vaccine, and once it acquired doses, was too slow to get them into arms. Of the 16 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine that have been released to the government by manufacturers, CSL, only about 18 million have gone into arms of Australians. The Age report on August 21st, citing concerns about blood clots and a widespread preference for the Pfizer vaccine. A further 1.6 million doses have been sent offshore to help regional neighbors such as Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and East Timor tackle COVID-19. That's interesting. I never heard anything about what's going on with Papua New Guinea or Fiji. But anyway, but about 6 million doses are yet to be used, even as more than half the nation is in lockdown due to outbreaks of the highly infectious Delta variant. Let's see. I think that jumped a little too much. Okay. Australia's low infection and death rate, which the country achieved both by being surrounded by a body of water and by adopting harsh restrictions on liberty, seemed to snap its urgency when it came time to vaccinate, even though the lack of urgency meant months more of basic human rights being anyone got something there?
Abrogated.
Abrogated. Okay, that's what I thought. In hindsight, more urgency to get jabs in arms to end restrictions would have saved lives because the country would have been better protected against the unexpected Delta variant.
Oh, it's always about the next variant. They're gonna write out those variants till the end of time.
It's
unexpected, huh?
Yeah. It's not going away.
Are we gonna have the lambda variant next?
What about the Omega Mu?
The Omega Mu variant.
That's gonna be a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, that's like the end game of all variants.
Yeah. In return for trading away their liberties, Australians gained a huge safety dividend. Oh, good Lord. COVID-19 has killed 194 of every 100,000 Americans, 77 of every 100,000 Israelis, and only 4 of every 100,000 Australians. And again, we have to point out that Australia is nowhere near as populated as the countries that were just previously named.
No, 25 million we have.
Yeah. Okay, the low death toll is a tremendous upside. Yeah, if you call surrendering your fucking liberties an upside. What remains to be seen is whether Australia can maintain that performance without permanently ending core attributes of life in a liberal democracy, including freedom of movement, peaceably assembling, and basic privacy, which I think we know the answer to this, the Atlantic. The answer is no.
Yep.
God damn, this article just keeps going. If the country quickly reinstates its citizens' pre-pandemic liberties, God, I can't speak, which is going to be an uphill battle. Let's be honest here. It could argue that the loss of liberty was only temporary. As we all know, the most permanent thing is a temporary government restriction.
The temporary, the age old
temporary
word.
2 years later, huh?
Yeah. Through some restrictions, such as prohibiting on leaving the country, would still seem needless if the goal was minimizing the spread of COVID-19 in the country. And if Australia's death rate remains lower than Israel or America, Australians leaders can plausibly tell their citizens that the deprivation was worth it.
Oh, fuck off.
Grant, is it worth it to you?
No, this is. No, it's not. None of this is worth it because we were told to do a certain thing. We complied. We did that, and it made no difference. And then all of a sudden, now we're in more of a lockdown, and now we're the most infected that we've ever been. It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, we can't go anywhere. You can't go to church. You can't do anything that would benefit your mind, your body, or your soul. And that's why we're getting used to it. And I think that's the sad fact that a majority of people are just like, it'll get better someday.
Yeah, that's what that's when they've been desensitized to it.
Yeah.
So it's gone on long enough. We might as well just accept it and keep going. And dude, I'm so sorry you're living that because it's amazing. And now you're seeing how much people buy into this, and it shows you they depend on, once again, politicians, big media, to depend on how their way of life, culture, whatever you want to call it, is. They decide for that. It's easier for them to be led than to be a leader themselves.
Yeah, just don't think, just comply. It's the easiest route to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it's about that conditioning, right? It's when you've been living with it for 2 years, it's basically second nature at that point.
And it is. I find myself falling into it every day with it. Just I'll just get through today. Tomorrow will be better, and then it just goes from one end to the other.
And this is very minor, but I remember when we finally got rid of mask mandates and I started walking around without a mask in the grocery store, it felt weird.
Oh, man, I was relieved.
Yeah, I was too, but it's that idea, because it really got me thinking about it, is how quickly I got used to wearing a freaking mask in a store.
Oh,
now it's it's been well over 6 months, and I'm like, don't fucking care. And even though when I walk into the grocery store, there's a big sign that says, we recommend wearing a mask, I don't fucking wear the mask.
Yeah, no. If you don't play these little weird games that we recommend or we encourage. Either you mean it or you don't. And then I'll be the judge if I'm going to give business or not. Don't play these weird games of trying to tiptoe around your words. Just commit to it or don't. because it just comes off like you don't know, you have no spine to like, do you really believe this is for your health or not? I would actually respect the signs actually do say recommended, just because they are sure of what they want for their business, because they are the business themselves enforcing it, not the state. But when you have to play these weird games like, oh well, maybe it's fine, but we're just gonna encourage this, is like, no, at this point this has gone on long enough, you know better. Do you want it or do you not? Like,
well, basically shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, and here's another thing, Nick. The weirdest thing about it is you think now that's no longer mandated that more people would not wear it. I'm in the minority. Anytime I go into the grocery store and I go shopping, I'm in the minority. Most people in there are wearing a mask.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I can't wear those. I have a problem breathing in those things, so I take it off. I don't give a damn.
Well, the funny thing is, I just use the neck gaiter, which is completely useless. But I'm following their mandates. So anyway, okay. If not, supporters will have a much harder time defending a record that includes handcuffing a small group of teenagers after they gathered for an outdoor hangout. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's
more important than whether or not. I'm sorry. What were you guys gonna say?
It's
I was
ridiculous.
just saying, they arrested a 12-year-old girl the other day.
Holy shit! Why?
Yeah.
Was she?
Yeah, it's
she
all
wasn't
on.
wearing a mask.
Yeah, neither was the copper that arrested her.
Well, it goes back to rules for thee, but not for me. Yeah. More important than whether or not the past can be justified is what the country does from now on. Promising murmurs are coming from some politicians. Oh, promising murmurs. Okay. New South Wales State Premier Gladys, I'm not going to try and say the last name.
Just call a koala killer. That's what his name is.
Koala killer? Okay.
Yeah.
Vowed to reopen the state once 70% of those 16 and older get vaccinated. Wow. Reuters reported Sunday. No matter what the case numbers are doing, double dose 70%. NSW means freedom for those who are vaccinated. Again, it's just showing, and again, consult your doctor, that the whole thing with the vaccine mandates are just another form of social credit system. Because your life will be greatly restricted if you do not comply. But in Victoria, the country's next most populated state, the news organizations reported that Premier Daniel Andrews said his state's lockdown due to end on Thursday will be extended. As I was already informed of this because I know people who are in Victoria, but would not say for how long. That's easy. They're just going to keep it going.
There is no end goal. Like you can I've tried to ask people. So where do you think this ends? And they don't know how to give an answer. Is it like cases are complete zero and it never stops? Like, well, obviously we all know what happened in New Zealand where they had one and they went straight back into it. It's like, are we where do we expect? Like, are we expecting to literally be even 100% fully poked? And this still happens. Where does your argument end with it's just this when they carry on the next step? Let's just pretend everyone actually literally did. It's not gonna stop. This shit's not gonna stop. They didn't expect you to still be this defensive a year and a half later. They were hoping for an easier argument, or if for even an argument to exist at all. This does not make them happy that people are having at least some pushback. We need more though, like a strong, significant amount of it, because otherwise, once again, they're going to keep this going. They're going to think we're just laying off steam. We can't show them we're just laying off steam. We can't show them we are here to stay. You work for us. We don't work for you. The CDC does not revolve around our livelihoods.
Yep. Because of its geography, Australia is a neighbor to an observer of authoritarian countries as varied as China and Singapore. But its own fate, too, may turn on whether its people crave and crave the feeling of safety and security, which most people do, unfortunately, that orders from the top confer, or whether they want freedom. Oh my God, we got through the article.
That article was
I feel better about humanity now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about the cybercrime stuff, but it's already after midnight, and we can talk about some other time. But just know that the cybercrime bill, which is just absolutely insane, is basically what they're going to go and monitor your phone, delete data, put stuff on there, which is very frightening because if you think about it, the police could use it to plant evidence on your phone.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Or the federal.
Are we talking about here, or is that Australia?
This is in Australia.
Or the federal government, depending on if they find.
Yes, Terminus. Now that we're done, I'll be getting the super chats, my friend. All right, toxic man flu for $5. How fucked are we? We can't even fell Drew. I'm pretty sure it's gonna jump. Don't jump. Don't. Jumped. God damn it. All right, so let me see. Yeah, the only one that came through is the last one. All right, so I gotta go look things up now. Okay, Godzillionaire, Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Yeah, pretty much. That was for 5 American pesos. Rowan for another $7.99 Australian. Google is running the QR code system for the Australian government. Wow, just goes to show you that evil corporations really are evil. Remember what their tagline used to be. It used to be "Don't be evil," and you know what happened? They removed it. Rough Girl, one Rough Girl for $4.99. Have 3 terabytes of music and movies, 2 hard drives connected, iTunes consumed. Consumed. It took. iTunes consumed it. Has informed me that movies not available in my region. iTunes took it. Okay, interesting. I have a Plex server, and I got a lot of terabytes. J.A.F.O, how's it going, dude? For $1.99, can Austin, Texas be annexed from the Earth? We can only hope.
You guys need that, like.
Yeah, Eric K for $5.
We would have to tell Matt to move in if that happened, though.
We would. Many people do not want to be educated. They do not want to see or hear anything different than what they are told. Yeah, unfortunately, that does seem to be the case. Terminus Est for 5 American pesos. Drew's dong is so big. His dick print is twice as big as the world's entire carbon footprint. # beware the Drew. Toxic Man flew for another 5 American pesos. None of this would have been possible without social media. Oh, dude, I completely agree with that. Yep. This is the new final solution for the Great Reset. And if you guys saw that one video I did,
oh, you can see the love in each other's eyes right there.
That's Culture Casino, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. And he's gone. No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
Oh God.
Where was I going? Okay. There is a advertising company in the UK that is basically using advertising to influence what you buy, what you should buy, and what you should not buy because of the Great Reset. It's kind of frightening. Okay, I think I'm actually caught up, and I can highlight Toxic Man Flu's super chat for 5 American pesos. Oh wow, I just read that one. Yeah, none of this would be possible without social media. This is the new final solution for the Great Reset. Okay, and apparently he has another one. Okay. Toxic man flu for another 5 American pesos. Australians need to leave that hairy situation as soon as they can.
Yeah. Cookie Cat put in the comments, gone with the weave as well. So the waves are coming out. One wave at a time. Here we go. The waves are coming.
The
waves are coming.
Okay. For another 5 American pesos. Little known fact that the craters on the moon were created on a night when Drew pulled out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. I think we've had enough for one evening, gentlemen. How are you guys feeling? This was rough.
Yeah, this definitely.
It's heartbreaking, and I feel bad for Mr. Grant Gregory. I feel bad for my friend Lethal Lightning. I feel bad for Ryan, Raging Rhino. I feel bad for so many people. I feel bad for my friend Teddy, my friend Dan, my cousin who lives in Australia. I feel bad for somebody, Tammy, I got to know in Australia. I feel bad for these people. It's awful, and I can't imagine it. And I have Steven. There's a bunch of people I know that are in Australia. Some people who were expats.
Oh yeah,
right?
Another Jenna's bringing up Shadowversity, who's also
Shadowversity.
And
love his channel.
Guess what? The YouTuber Cinnamon Toast Ken, he just moved over there like 2 months ago.
Oh,
and it just, I was just like, oh my god.
My buddy Ryan operates like a because I mentioned him just a few minutes ago. He operates an adventure company in Australia. He's got no business. Yeah. He's had no business since this thing started. He's not been able to do anything. I mean, he would take you all over Australia. It was his essentially tour guiding your ass everywhere. He doesn't work, dude. His business is destroyed. He's got nothing. Guy was worth a ton of money. His house was incredible. His business amazing, and Ryan's completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Clear and present weave.
I like Nightmare on Weave
Street.
Nice. Why?
Oh, come on, guys, leave him alone.
It's hard to maintain like a serious composure when you start getting these jokes in, because it's like culture's talking and it's like I'm trying not to laugh reading some of this stuff.
How about they weave?
Remember Corn put on alcohol, follow the Weaver.
All right, Terminus says for $5. Drew's junk is so big you don't ever want to give him blue balls, because that causes the next ice age.
Yep.
And Draco, what's up, Draco? How's it going?
Draco,
for 5 American pesos. Keep discussing the truth. Never stop raising truth. As long as I'm here, man, I'm going to talk about this stuff. And that's the scary thing, is because, Mama Susan can flip a switch and good old comics division go bye-bye real quick.
Yeah, a lot
of us
could go bye-bye.
Here's the bad thing. I know a lot of us are put on a certain list or shoved to the side. So, me and Cleve in that group now. So,
well, I mean, I go all out, and cultures told me like twice, maybe 3 times, maybe a little more, that it's like, Drew, you might want to think about dialing it back, because I go absolutely 100% like unfiltered, and talk about truth on my channel, and I know it's going to get me in Dutch with YouTube eventually. I know that I'm going to probably be watched eventually the more that I put out there. And I've got a pretty explosive thing that I'm going to try to do on Sunday, because there's a lot of stuff with the Afghanistan thing that just happened and everything else where I'm going to connect dots. And I want people to understand what it's all about.
13 American servicemen lost their lives.
Mm-hmm.
It got less coverage than what happened in Minneapolis.
No, the Logan Paul thing
it's
got
because
more
you can't spin the
coverage
narrative
than that.
about white supremacy that way.
Yeah.
That stupid Logan Paul fight got more coverage than that. Yeah.
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 All right. Let's get through some of these super chats and we can call it evening. Toxic Man flew for 5 American pesos. Not even George Orwell could weave a tale more hairy, scary than that we are seeing in our daily lives. Hashtag beware the weave.
How about Gone with the Weave?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Oh, Game of Weave of Thrones. Toxic Man flew Weave of Thrones.
Toss a coin to your
the multi-weave of madness.
Oh, leave it to Weaver. Leave it to Weaver. God's laying there.
Toss a coin to your Weaver. I like that one.
All right. Toxic Man flew for another $5. When Drew's penis gets angry, you should just weave it alone. Hashtag beware the Drew. Hashtag it's weave. All right.
Oh, X-Files, the truth is out there. I want to beweave. There's lunch
Serious.
Okay, Riff Mangoes for $5 Australian dollars. I live in Australia and I look forward to returning to rural Europe. Lockdown is good blues guitar playing fuel. Yeah, I bet, dude. Yeah, hopefully, you know, I hope this madness ends, you know, for everybody.
Yeah.
Part of it really makes me wonder if we're in a simulation because of just how insane things get.
I've said that several times. Like, things are just there, and there's the certain things you're like, okay, that wasn't like that a little bit ago, and they're like, oh, it's always been like that. No, dude.
Well, you know, it's crazy.
Wouldn't that be cool, right? You're like 3 years old. You're plugged into a matrix. Your parents are really looking over you right now. It's only been 1 hour, but it feels like you lived your entire life. That way you can do all your screw ups and, you know, come back for learning all your mistakes and have your fresh life ahead of you. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. And not as a 3-year-old.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's how it works. Sadly, you know, it's one of those things where I sit back sometimes, you know, being 47 years old, and I think about the stuff that I've seen, you know, just that's unfolded over the decades. And you know, what's crazy is we always, when we would entertain these type of theories.
Sorry. Lindsay wrote, take it or weave it, people.
But when we would entertain these type of theories, it was all used to be just, you know, crazy theories. Oh, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And we're here.
Sometimes the reason why I think we're in a simulation is like, could it get any worse? And it's like,
they're like, wait a minute, hold my beer. We can make this worse. They're like, yeah.
Positive thoughts. It'll get better. Maybe they'll dial the notch back. I don't know.
Planet Earth's just a giant alien zoo.
Yeah. Oh, I've said that for a long time. We're probably wiped off in a rested universe, and we're the zoo that everybody laughs at, or we're like the rednecks of the universe, and that's the reason why nobody wants to come here.
Like the real reason why you know, we have not encountered alien life is because alien life doesn't want to interact with us because they know how dangerous we are. So they segregated us off.
Yeah, like, that's the reason why. I'm like,
Scott Jennings said somebody say end
invented
program.
identity politics so they could depress one another.
Culture.
Can you believe that they solved all these problems, but they want to complain about how oppressed they are? You know, I mean, they have more food and shelter than ever before. That is hilarious, dude.
But Scott Jennings was right. He said, somebody say end program, you know, and we need to. I just want to do like Picard, like computer end program. You know?
Computer, stop the insanity.
That works.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a Susan Powder line. Congratulations, you did well.
Yes, I know. Stop the insanity.
Whatever happened to her, by the way? I never.
She was a fraud. That's what happened.
Yes,
legit. She was a fraud.
She's up on federal charges, probably.
Toxic Man flew for 2 American pesos. Apocalypse Weave. And also for another 2 American pesos. It's Weeby the Pooh.
I haven't had this much fun since we did our Brie puns.
Yeah.
Indeed.
How about
Brie leave it?
Or not.
Oh my god. What the fuck is that?
Dude, culture.
That's all weaves.
All right. Just know, if you're in Australia and you're watching this, just know that we stand with you, and
absolutely.
we hope this madness ends in your country soon, because we don't want to see it go on. I mean, obviously you're experiencing it and that sucks, but we definitely don't want to see it continue on, and we definitely don't want it to spread globally, because then we'd just all be fucked. At least we'll all be in together, though.
Yeah.
I don't really want to get fucked together. It doesn't sound good.
Pull his wave.
What was that, Graham?
I'm saying if we're gonna get fucked, if we get fucked together, I'm sure Drew's the one that can do it from any place on the planet.
If we were all getting fucked together, culture would probably wave his head around a lot and I don't want to see that man.
I mean, Drew will probably just use culture as a merkin.
Oh, that's terrible. What is wrong with
are we
you?
taking any bets? How long before Australia devolves down into Mad Max at this point?
Oh, I don't know. It's getting close. If our fuel prices keep going up, then we're in my town, it's 160 cents per liter.
Good
so what's that
Lord.
like? Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just for the regular shit.
Yeah. Toxic Man flew for another $2. Weave division. All right, let's go around the horn. We will start with you, our special guest, Mr. Grant Gregory. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on here. This is very cathartic. As been a big fan of you guys for ages, and I thought I'd come on and throw a couple of jokes on, have a bit of fun with it, but turn into a real good conversation. I'll save all my short jokes for the next time. I've got a video coming out that I'm doing. It's a movie trailer starring a certain panelist on here, and it's about his struggles as a short person.
Oh my god! I don't know if talking about Culture Casino.
No. Culture's taller than I am, so I know that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually the shortest on the panel.
That means Dead is short too?
No,
I'm the shortest,
I
but the
came
longest.
up to Culture's shoulders when I met him, so.
Oh, it's so romantic. Tell me more.
Shut up, Nick.
I've got one coming out for Culture as well. It's more of a horror thing about how it started off as a weave and it grew a human out of it, and it's just in the veins of Slender Man.
That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing the stuff, man. Make sure to tag me in this stuff.
I did one on Ryan that you played on Friday Night Tights about 2 weeks ago, I think. So that was pretty cool. So
I've never felt more loved.
Phenomenal.
Turk.
All right. Anything else you want to plug?
I've got a comics show that I do. It's a comic trivia. I haven't done it for about 2 years, but I'm getting back into it now. We've filmed our first couple of matches. Check out my channel, Mr. Greg Gregory. I'm just hit 50 subs, so I'm getting there. So
Woo! Awesome, brother.
Congrats.
If you shoot me the link in the private chat, I'll make sure to share it out so people can find you.
Yeah, no worries.
And 32 flavors. Oh, wait a second. We got to get the 32 flavors of Nick Weiser coming out of the way first while we're here. Turbo Cess for 2 American pesos. Nick Weiser flavor number 11, Shang Cheese Wing Cheese.
Cheese smoke.
Cheese. Man,
what a sight of weave.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Weaves. It was. Anyways. Hey, you created the monster. Anyways.
Toxic Man food for $5. Praying for you, Mr. Grand. Weavery.
Oh my God, talk.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right,
I'm at Nick Weiser on mine's Twitter and Instagram, the @ symbol, but with Nick Weiser, just that word. And here on YouTube at 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. I posted some action figure video shorts this week. Iron Maiden review coming this week for the new album that hits tomorrow/today. I got Toxic Tuesday with Fat Steven Seagal, where we'll be talking Under Siege with Steven Seagal on it next week. So come check me out and sub to one of the fine Toxic Males. And also, if you ever see this in the world, this is called Scented Man Wash. You can't get any more body wash manliness than Cedar and Bourbon Man Wash.
We
bought this today, and I can't wait to try this on in the morning. That's all. Thank you guys. This has been a memorable panel. Dix Division assemble, and may stay long, hard, and erect.
Hell yeah, brother.
Next up is Jed.
Hey, okay, yeah, today's Thursday. Yeah, I'm not gonna do everything, but somebody called me culture today when I was doing my spill because I took forever too. So, but tomorrow, most likely Father Christopher, Pop Culture Minefield, and at night, Foul Ball Productions over there. Saturday is probably T-shirt and Pop Culture Minefield. Sunday is our stuff along with Mark's at night. And then, Saturday, I gotta tell you, for the first time in like a month and a half, the Cotton Connection returns. So you gotta be over there. You might see Drunk 3PO, and you might don't know what happened to Jolly, but you may come back, and Wicket might be over there too. So, and then we have a brand new show on Wednesday for retro gaming with me and Ironcaster and stuff, and some other new stuff. So there you go.
And Jed, you need to denounce your frog privilege.
Yeah, he tells me that in every stream. So.
Well, we're waiting. Get on it.
I ain't denouncing it.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
No, I've got a
and I'm also on Nick's on Friday too. So
I've got a
nickname. On Tuesday, and then next Tuesday too. So
I got a nickname. I got a nickname for you, Chad. I'm just gonna call you a toad named Lemmy Winks.
I think you're gonna call him a chode.
You're terrible. All right, up next is LDG, who is sporting the Cowboy Bebop background.
F yeah, man, trying to support an original creation before it gets completely torn apart by Netflix. Don't get me started.
No,
yeah,
don't
guys,
get me started too, man.
Oh, you hear? You hear Texas
LDG.
Chainsaw? Netflix got Texas Chainsaw now.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not kidding.
Combo.
I saw it today. They got the rights. They bought it from Legendary Pictures.
Everything is going to shit, I swear. One thing after another. I thought it was over with Mortal Kombat, and now they're effing with Cowboy Bebop. The line has to be drawn this far and no farther. So that way you'll find me doing Cowboy Bebop watch parties this week, guys. Watching the real Cowboy Bebop. Hit me up on LDG of Geeks Enjoy ! On YouTube. Also Saturday night for Late Night Nerdgasm. Adult Nerd Chat. That's on Geeks Enjoy Nerdrotica. Follow me on Twitter at Geeks Enjoy, capital G, capital E. And thanks, guys. Hashtag free the net. And for all y'all Australians, hashtag throw away your phones or buy the flip ones. But I stand with you, and I hope this doesn't go too far, because this is some dangerous shit that's happening over here. I seriously can't believe that we actually read half the stuff that we read tonight. It is scary shit.
It is. Very. All right, man. Well, I will see you on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Sunday, too, for a roundtable. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Up next is not Culture Casino. Who looks half
I'm
awake.
actually going to be seeing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings tomorrow. It's going to be amazing.
I'm sorry.
Maybe not.
I'm sorry.
I can't wait.
Gary's quick take was pretty encouraging.
Can you see my amazing foo?
Yes, yes, I can. I was trying to figure out what that was, and then I realized after you said Shang-Chi, exactly what that was.
Back in the day, I used to be.
As long as you
Shang-Chi's
don't show us your 10 rings, we'll be right.
It changed.
No, Drew has 10
the 10 cock rings.
That's Drew,
You know,
man.
When I appear in the Axel Braun remake of the film, there'll be different kinds of rings for sure.
We got to have
anyway.
Axel
Do check
Braun
out my
do that.
channel, Culture Casino, Shang-Chi or Fu Manchu. Check out my Twitch, fumanchu.com or twitch.fumanchu. No, wait, it's Culture Casino on Twitch. Check out Odyssey. Check out Twitter. Check out Minds. I hope this isn't completely inappropriate. And I had a great time, except I didn't get to talk because there's too many people here. You guys suck up all the oxygen.
Are you sure it's not the weave?
And also, we have our very own Schlong-Chi in the Legend of the Ten Cock Rings, starring his own porno of that title, the Supreme Heretic himself. Beware the Drew.
You know what I like to say is I may be short, but I'm long. You know, but no. In all seriousness, I just wanted to take this time mainly to just give a huge thanks to not only my friends on the panel, but those of you out here in our audience in the community. You know, I'm a proud person. I didn't ask for it or anything like that, and you know, the outpouring of support, the help that you've given my mom and I don't know that I can ever repay it or anything else, but know that you have the love of not only myself, but my mom from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you guys so much for what you do, for your support, for watching us, for, you know, just looking out for me. And I can't thank you guys enough. It's just, I was absolutely moved by it. And again, thanks to Nick Weiser and thanks to Comics, because I heard a little bird might have told Comics and he might have passed along the idea. So, you know, I'm just happy I have wonderful friends. You know, thank you so much, because I don't know what I do without you. I am so happy to be associated with all of you. You all are wonderful men and women, and thank you so much. If you would like to watch my content, Thursdays is Pegasus Actual, where we talk about Battlestar Galactica, and of course, I have my Tuesday Rogue Entertainment stream, the Rogue Squadron. Please stop by and check that out. And then on the weekends, I occasionally do a High Heresy stream, where you'll find me on this channel again on Thursday nights, or doing content with my good friend Wes Moody, who is also on our panel. So thank you again so much, folks. Much love, and it's greatly appreciated. Just an update on my mom. Things aren't the greatest right now. She's not doing too well. I think they honestly sent her home from the hospital too early. She is having quite a few difficulties, but we're doing the best we can, and we're taking it a day at a time. It is kind of touch and go right now, but thank you for your prayers, your understanding, and your support. Thank you.
All right, man. We're all praying for your mom. I hope she pulls through this. So next up is Apocalypse Man himself, Wes Moody.
Hey everybody, Wes Moody of the Wes Moody webcast. I think I'm having another existential crisis, but I'll try and get through it here. So I talk about current events, pop culture, occasional conspiracy theories, occasional car talk, gaming streams, and I will vlog about whatever the heck I want to because it is my webcast. We're going to be covering, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, the recall election. So unfortunately, no Trekking on Tuesday the week after next. But speaking of Trekking on Tuesday, 8:05 p.m. Pacific times on Tuesdays, and whatever Wednesdays, 8:05 p.m. on Wednesdays, and sporadic videos in between. Hope to see you there. See ya.
All right. I got
real quick. I'm sorry, Wes. You know what I miss, Wes? Where are your duck streams coming back?
Well, they're about to
miss
fly
your duck
south to
streams.
the winter. Yeah, I should do some more of those. Darn it. Well, see, the bums have overrun the park now, so I'm kind of scared. I stepped on shit on a sidewalk during a live stream, and you can even hear it on the live stream.
Squish!
Just like that, and
Where
then
were you in San Francisco?
No. I believe it or not, I'm actually in Red, California. I'm about 40 minutes north of Sacramento. Actually, we never really embraced masks here.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, they mandated them for a very short period of time, and then there was mass non-compliance. So it's good to see.
All right, guys. God, culture. Totally killed what I was gonna say next because this would be serious. I just want to say thanks for everything, everyone, the panelists, everyone who's watching this in the future. Again, as you guys know, I'm a bit of a prepper. If you're not prepping, now is the time to start because God only knows what the future really holds for us. Be it, authoritarian lockdowns, a crazy war, or something like that. Yes, I'll get your super chat, Terminus, and I'm not gonna forget it. But seriously, folks, we need to make sure that we prepare for this nonsense that is happening right now. So please, think of your futures, think of what you can do for your families, and think of yourself, and just make sure that you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Because the main things I know, I talk about a lot of depressing stuff, and there's a lot of black pills that I throw out. But we need to talk about these things, and we need to be honest with what's going on in the world and the potential disasters it could have for humankind at this point. Anyway, back to the super chats. Now that I've said my piece, Toxic Man flew for 2 American pesos. Star Trek: The Weave Discovery.
That's accurate. I think that's accurate.
Yeah. Weave Discovery.
The STW.
Toxic Man flew with another 2 American pesos. Weave Man flew. And let's see. All the way back down to Terminus Est. Terminus Est for 5 American pesos. Drew's wang is so big. He once had a kidney stone and shot it straight at Australia. That kidney stone is now Ayers Rock.
Damn.
Wow.
That's wild right there.
I should have bought that island off of Australia when I had a chance.
That is really funny, Terminus.
I got one. Join us next week for Yelling at Parked Weaves.
Yeah.
Thursday night weave down.
All right. Thursday night weave down. Nice.
I'll help you with the thumbnail with that one.
All right, guys. Again, I want to say thanks for everything, and don't forget, obviously, Friday Night Tights is tomorrow, where you can catch me there, and also I'll be on Onzo's channel on Saturday, where we'll be discussing What If Episode 4. Also, I'll be having a stream on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Central. So usual suspects are always invited. We're going to have Lorena Creel on, and I've been trying to get her on the channel for a while, and we're just going to talk about whatever.
Yeah, Lorena's awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty badass.
Really good.
I'm lucky.
We were supposed to have a stream last Sunday, and I totally forgot to tell everyone. And by the time I got back from the ranch, I was pretty tired. So, on that note, we will find the outro koalas. Good night, everyone.
Koalas in the rain.